Chapter 302. While Lin Jiej was bathing, he couldn't help but feel that everything that had happened tonight was a little too absent-minded. Thus, he went through the answer to big white chubby equals soft bun at the foot of the dormitory building from start to finish, and he didn't forget to check that there were no problems with it. Only after confirming that there were no problems did he feel at ease and continue bathing. Because he was in such a good mood, Lin Jiej even started humming a song while he was drying his body. It's you, it's definitely you. It's you, it's really you. After putting on his pajamas, Lin Jiej grabbed a towel to dry his hair as he opened the bathroom door. As if a door god, Xia Shangzhou stood at the entrance of the bathroom. Lin Jiej was so shocked that he stopped singing. He shot a glance at Xia Shangzhou before continuing singing. It's you, it's you. If it's really you, let me see you, let me meet you. He walked over to his desk and picked up the hairdryer to dry his hair. By the time Lin Jiej was done drying his hair and fixing it in the mirror, he realized that Xia Shangzhou was standing right behind him, staring at him with a resentful gaze. Lin Jiej turned to look at Xia Shangzhou and asked, "What are you doing?" Xia Shangzhou stared at Lin Jiej unblinkingly, and with a stern voice he said, "Boss, I still want to talk to you tonight." Lin Jiej looked left and right in the mirror as he fixed his hair, and with a slightly distracted tone he asked, "What do you want to talk about?" "Xia Shangzhou, about the matter between you and Sis Yao. I think that you're even more overboard than yesterday. It's understandable that you didn't notice it yesterday, but today, you're doing it knowingly. That's even more of a crime." Facing Xia Shangzhou's criticism, Lin Jiej replied with an incomparably calm, "Oh, before asking, are you sure that you want to talk to me?" Xia Shangzhou nodded, and with an air of righteousness he said, "That's right. I have to talk to you because I can't bear to see you continue to be so obstinate. The further you go, the worse you'll get." You might have misunderstood me." Lin Jiej turned around and leisurely leaned against the desk. "What I mean is that I'm afraid that you'll be in so much pain that you'll wish you were dead after talking to me." "Xia Shangzhou, I'm already in so much pain that I'd rather be dead than alive." "All right then." Since that was the case, he would make his heart turn to ashes. With this thought in mind, Lin Jiej asked, "I have good news and bad news. Which would you like to hear first?" Before Xia Shangzhou could reply, Lin Jiej had already spoken up once more. Just pretend that I didn't ask. It seems like it's all bad news for you, Xia Shangzhou." Lu Binlai took off his earphones to eavesdrop. Before Lin Jiej could say anything, Xia Shangzhou said, "Boss, since both of these are bad news to me, I'll listen to your good news first." Lin Jiej nodded in agreement. "The good news is that Yao loves ice cream is sure Yao." Xia Shangzhou. Lin Jiej. "The bad news is that the one who has to draw a line with Yao loves ice cream is you, not me." Xia Shangzhou. What was the difference between these two messages? Lin Jiej patted Xia Shangzhou's shoulder and said, "I deeply sympathize with your plight, but it's a pity that Yao loves ice cream was already mine before I was born." In the instant that Lin Jiej said those words, there was only one sentence left in Xia Shangzhou's mind. "When it comes to love, I choose death." Chapter 303. In the instant that Lin Jiej said those words, there was only one sentence left in Xia Shangzhou's mind. "When it comes to love, I choose death." Was there anyone in the world who was more pitiful than him? The goddess whom he had fallen in love with in real life was his boss's fiancée, and the Sis Yao whom he had protected with all his might in the game was also his boss's fiancée. Just what kind of sin did he commit in his previous life for his love to be so difficult in this life? Other people's love, even if it wasn't smooth sailing, would at least take root, sprout, or even blossom. Perhaps it might even bear fruit, but the fruit would fall before it could ripen. But his love didn't even have the chance to take root once it was plunged into the soil. No, it was just a seed. It was killed before it could even grow into the soil. They were both human beings, men, and men living in dormitory 501. But why did Boss get everything he wanted in reality and in the game while he lost everything? The more Xia Shangzhou thought about it, the more pitiful he felt. He couldn't help but grumble in dissatisfaction. Unfair. This is too unfair. I can't accept this. Lin Jiej was just about to speak up when he recalled how pitiful Xia Shangzhou was, so he decided to let it go. "Boss, I seriously suspect that you are making up a story to deceive me. How can there be such a good thing in the world?" "Boss, I seriously suspect that you're lying to me." How can there be such a good thing in this world? It's as good as a pie falling from the sky, like winning 5 million yuan while lying down. When Xia Shangzhou said that, he suddenly found hope. You're from a good family and you're good at your studies. If you don't work hard, no one will be able to catch up to your results. You're already blessed by the heavens. I don't believe that the heavens will always favor you. In short, I don't believe it, I don't believe it, I don't believe it even if you beat me to death. Hearing those words, Lin Jiej, who was just about to let Xia Shangzhou off the hook, halted his movements. He really couldn't be blamed for this. It wasn't easy for him to show his kindness, but the other party refused to accept it. Could this be considered as courting death? With such thoughts in mind, Lin Jiej took out his phone, searched for Lin Jiai's WeChat, and passed the chat log to Xia Shangzhou. Lu Benlai, who had been eavesdropping, immediately leaned over and began reading the chat log between Lin Jiai and Lin Jiej. I got Yao Yao's WeChat. I know that you don't have Yao Yao's WeChat. Do you want Yao Yao's WeChat? While reading, Lu Benlai commented, "Wow boss, big sis's aura is too. 8 meters. Wow boss, when it comes to making money, I'm not convinced by anyone but my sister. Wow, my sister earned nearly 3,000 yuan just like that." Well, Lu Benlai paused for a moment before continuing. Sis Yao is really our little junior. Old Xia, my condolences. Xia Shangzhou, my condolences? Have you ever been to school? Is that how you use the word? Lu Benlai, is there a problem? Even if I did use it wrongly, I'm sure you understand what I mean, right? All you need to know is that I'm trying to console you. Everything else isn't important. Besides, even if you correct me, little junior will still be Sis Yao, and Sis Yao will still be little junior. Your little lovebird will still be gone forever. Xia Shangzhou clutched his wounded chest and thought to himself, consolation? Are you sure you're consoling me, and not kicking me when I'm down? Chapter 304. After reprimanding Lu Benlai, Lin Jiej turned to Xia Shangzhou and said, Old Xia, ignore him. Nothing good comes out of his filthy mouth. Xia Shangzhou shot a grateful look at Lin Jiej. Even though his goddess had been snatched away by his boss still protected him at crucial moments. However, this feeling of gratitude didn't last for more than 3 seconds before Lin Jiej calmly put away his phone and spoke with a gentle tone. Old Xia, I thought about it earlier, and you're right. I came from a good background and I'm good at my studies. If I don't put in the effort, there's no one who can match up to my results. More importantly, I already had a significant other before I was even born, so I'm indeed blessed by the heavens. Otherwise, how could Yaoshi be Yao Yao? Xia Shangzhou suddenly felt that he was being overly moved by Lin Jiej. Lin Jiej didn't realize that he had already deviated from the main topic of consoling Xia Shangzhou. Say, do you think that I'm the legendary god's beloved? Actually, being the god's beloved is also a very tiring thing to do. After all, I'm just invigilating an examination, and yet I still run into a peach blossom. Lin Jiej sighed deeply. Sigh, now that I think about it, I'm really busy. Not only do I have to pluck my own peach blossom, I have to pluck Yao Yao's peach blossom too. Xia Shangzhou felt a mouthful of blood gushing up his throat. Boss, are you sure you're just consoling someone? Aren't you just showing off? Lin Jiej shot a glance at Lu Benlai and Xia Shangzhou, and with a seemingly distressed tone he said, I can't help it. You won't be able to understand this kind of distress. After all roads lead to Rome, and not everyone is born in Rome like me. Xia Shangzhou clutched his tattered chest, and the blood in his throat didn't feel like spurting out. Instead, he felt like choking himself to death. He said that Lu Benlai couldn't utter decent language, but what about him? What came out of a dog's mouth was probably a blade that could kill without leaving a trace, right? Lu Benlai, who had been inexplicably implicated, blinked his eyes repeatedly. He suddenly felt that he shouldn't have watched the show just now. As the saying goes, if you always stand by the river, your shoes will get wet. If you always watch others make a fool of yourself, there will come a day when others will laugh at you. After saying what he wanted to say, Lin Jiej was just about to climb onto the bed when he realized that since Xia Shangzhou was here to talk to him, he should at least finish what he had started. Thus he asked, May I ask if we can end our conversation now? Xia Shangzhou nodded without any hesitation. Yes. Actually, it could have ended 5 minutes ago. If that's the case, why didn't you tell me about it earlier? What a waste of my time. With such thoughts in mind, Lin Jiej leaped onto his bed. Hugging his pillow, he picked up his phone and prepared to look for Shi Yao. When he unlocked the phone screen, his lips involuntarily curled into a smile. Instead of looking at the unread messages in the sexy and frisky group, he tapped into Yao loves ice cream and typed in a question mark. Just as he was about to hit send, he felt that the message wasn't intimate enough, so he added 3 more words, "Are you asleep?" After confirming that there were no issues, Lin Jiej tapped on the send button. Then a red exclamation mark appeared in front of the message. Chapter 305. Oh. Lin Jiej blinked his eyes in confusion. He couldn't understand what this meant. What do you mean by your message has been sent, but it has been rejected? Lin Jiej pondered for a moment before replying the message he had just sent, but it was still the same. He sent another message, and still, only then did a frown appear on his forehead. He turned to Lu Benlai and Xia Shangzhou and asked, "Let me ask you a question. If you send a WeChat message to a person, and there's an exclamation mark in front of the message followed by a sentence saying, 'Your message has been sent, but it has been rejected,' what does that mean?" Lu Benlai stared at his phone screen without raising his head. "I've been blacklisted." Lin Jiej, what? Xia Shangzhou. "I've been blacklisted by the other party." Lin Jiej suddenly felt a little traumatized. How did I get blacklisted by Big White Chubby? Did these two fellows make a mistake? The more Lin Jiej thought about it, the more he felt that it was impossible. "Are the two of you messing with me?" Lu Benlai. "What's there to lie about? Boss, if you don't believe me, you can blacklist me. I'll try sending you a message." Lin Jiej hesitated for a second before doing as he was told. After blacklisting Lu Benlai, he said, "Done." Lu Benlai exited the novel page and opened up WeChat. He searched for Lin Jiej's name, tapped on a random letter, and sent it over. After which, he passed his phone over to Lin Jiej and said, "Boss, take a look for yourself. I'm not lying to you, am I?" Lin Jiej stared at Lu Benlai's phone screen for a long while, and after confirming that it was identical to his own, he felt as if his entire body had withered like a wilted eggplant. Soft Bun actually blacklisted me? Soft Bun actually blacklisted me? How is this possible? I didn't offend her at all. Could it be? Lin Jiej suddenly recalled how Shi Yao had said that she wanted to show off to him after he was beaten to death in the game. Could it be that at that time, she had sent him a message and sent him over? Knowing that he had blacklisted her, she might as well blacklist him as well? What the heck? This app sure is toxic. It even reminds the other party when you're blacklisted. With such thoughts in mind, Lin Jiej tapped into the sexy and frisky group. There were 5 unread messages, so Lin Jiej took a quick glance at them. Yao loves ice cream. I'm done playing. I'm going to sleep. Yao loves ice cream. It's Juice. Yao loves ice cream. And expert of the monkeys. Juice. Good night, Sis Yao. Expert of the monkeys. Sweet dreams, Sis Yao. Lin Jiej read through the 5 unread messages over and over again, and eventually, he felt even more stifled than before. Why did Soft Bun have Lu Benlai and Xia Shangzhou, but not him? Could it be that she was angry because he blacklisted her? With this thought in mind, Lin Jiej tapped on the screen and sent a message as well. Less than 111,111 good night, Sis Yao. The moment he successfully sent the message, a new message appeared on his phone screen. Yao loves ice cream. And juice. Yao loves ice cream. An expert. Chapter 306. After sending the message, Lin Jiej fell into deep thought for a moment before tapping on Yao loves ice cream. He patiently held his phone and counted down the seconds. A minute later, seeing that Shi Yao was still ignoring him, he finally lost his cool and turned to Lu Benlai and Xia Shangzhou and said, "Did you guys not receive my message?" Lu Benlai took a look at the group chat and replied, "I did." While replying to Lin Jiej, he also sent a message in the group chat. Sis Yao, sweet dreams +1 unwilling to give up. Lin Jiej pinned his hopes on Xia Shangzhou. "I received it too." Xia Shangzhou replied as he also sent a message in the group chat. Sis Yao, sweet dreams +2 Song Chaoshi, who rarely appeared in the chat, also sent a message. Sis Yao, sweet dreams +3, Yao loves ice cream. Thank you, Juice. Yao loves ice cream. Thank you, expert. Yao loves ice cream. Thank you, Tide. Lin Jiej stared at the endless stream of messages on his phone, and his heart turned cold. In this group, Soft Bun thanked everyone but me. It seems like Soft Bun is really angry. What should I do? Was he supposed to coax Soft Bun in front of all these people? Just thinking about how the other three would screenshot it and use it as a joke in the future, Lin Jiej couldn't help but hesitate. But he couldn't let Soft Bun know that he was Lin Jiej. Otherwise, Soft Bun wouldn't just be angry at less than 111,111, but Lin Jiej as well. But she had already blacklisted him, so she wouldn't be able to receive his private messages. The more Lin Jiej thought about it, the more he hated WeChat. So he ran over to the App Store and gave WeChat a star along with a comment. Are you going to take responsibility for my wife running away after blacklisting her? Putting down his phone, Lin Jiej tossed and turned for a moment before picking it up once more and giving WeChat a star once more. If it weren't for my wife, I really would have uninstalled this app forever. Putting down his phone once more, Lin Jiej hugged his blanket as he stared at the snow-white ceiling for a moment. After which he sat up and picked up his phone to send a message to Song Chaoshi. Please don't tear me down in the group chat later on. Thank you. Without waiting for Song Chaoshi's reply, Lin Jiej generously sent a 200 renminbi red packet over. The red packet was instantly snatched, and then Song Chaoshi replied, "Okay, boss." Lin Jiej didn't reply to Song Chaoshi's message. Instead, he turned to Lu Benlai and Xia Shangzhou and said, 7 days tour to Golden Resplendence. Lu Benlai immediately put down his phone and said, Daddy, please state your conditions. Xia Shangzhou tore off his facial mask. Dad, whatever you say. Lin Jiej. No matter what happens in the group later on, remember not to say anything you shouldn't. Lu Benlai. Don't worry, I'll only say what I should say. Xia Shangzhou. From now on I won't type anymore. Lin Jiej only heaved a sigh of relief after dealing with this problem. He tapped into the sexy and frisky WeChat group, stared at his phone, and gulped down a mouthful of saliva. Then he began typing. Less than 111,111, squinting eyes face, Yao loves ice cream. I'm sorry. SSS sorry? BBB boss actually said those words? While Xia Shangzhou stuttered, Lin Jiej continued typing on his phone. Less than 111,111. I didn't blacklist you. I wasn't paying attention this afternoon, and my pet accidentally touched my phone screen and blacklisted you. Chapter 307. Since he had accepted a bribe from the other party, it was only right for him to do so. Lu Benlai quickly played along and asked, Boss, is the pet you are talking about Peppa Pig? Lin Jiej was stunned for a moment before realizing that the Peppa Pig that Lu Benlai was referring to was the pet that he had promised to raise back then, Soft Bun, who could eat 3 bowls of wontons. Just that, why were they still calling Soft Bun a Peppa Pig? Wasn't that indirectly implying that Soft Bun was a pig? Lin Jiej was just about to shoot Lu Benlai a displeased look, but before he could make a move, it suddenly occurred to him that the reason he had blacklisted Big White Chubby this time was because of Soft Bun. If she hadn't said that she would be sad, he wouldn't have done that. In the end, he wasn't the one who blacklisted Soft Bun, but Soft Bun herself who blacklisted him. With this thought in mind, Lin Jiej tapped on his phone once more. Lin Jiej hesitated for a moment before gritting his teeth and continuing typing. Peppa Pig blocks Sis Yao. Forget it, I'll just compare Soft Bun to Peppa Pig for once. In any case, she's Peppa Pig and I'm Peppa Pig too. Lin Jiej didn't put down his phone. He waited for a few minutes, but the group was still completely silent. So he opened up Yao loves ice cream and sent another message. Sis Yao, I'm sorry. Sure, Yao still hadn't spoken in the group. The air in the boys' dormitory 501 began to thin little by little. For the sake of his own safety, Lu Benlai tried to persuade him to stay. Boss, it's already midnight. Sis Yao might be asleep by now. Xia Shangzhou quickly cooperated. Yes. Little Junior said she was sleepy an hour ago. Is that so? Lin Jiej took a look at the time on his phone. 12:21. That seemed pretty late. Lin Jiej's complexion improved a little. He continued to hold on to his phone for a while longer, but after seeing that Shi Yao still hadn't said a word, he finally put down his phone and lay back down on his bed. Lu Benlai and Xia Shangzhou thought that they had escaped a calamity, So they heaved a sigh of relief and got onto their beds, preparing to sleep. But less than 10 minutes after the lights went off, Lin Jiej suddenly sat up on his bed and asked, "Are you sure that she's asleep?" Lu Benlai, "Boss, why don't I help you search for Sis Yao in the group?" Xia Shangzhou asked me to. Lin Jiej nodded. Lu Benlai and Xia Shangzhou did as instructed. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. 10 minutes later, Lu Benlai picked up his phone for the umpteenth time. And with a yawn, he took a look at the silent group chat and said, "Boss, look. Sis Yao is really asleep, so let's go to sleep too." Xia Shangzhou was so tired that he couldn't speak at all. All he could do was murmur in agreement. Without saying a word, Lin Jiej put down his phone and lay down. Lu Benlai and Xia Shangzhou thought to themselves, "We can finally sleep now." So they relaxed their minds and prepared to sleep. However, 3 minutes later, Lin Jiej sat up once more and said, "Right? There's something I need to tell you. Don't let Yao Yao know that we know who she is." Lu Benlai, alright." Before Xia Shangzhou could finish his sentence, his words were drowned out by yawns. Lin Jiej was just about to lie down when he suddenly thought of Lin Jai. He was Soft Bun's WeChat friend with her, so wouldn't her actions expose his identity? Chapter 308. As long as he paid Lin Jai a sum of hush money tomorrow, once Soft Bun removed him from her blacklist, he would delete the messages he had left on her Moments page. That way, Soft Bun wouldn't know that he was friends with Lin Jai. But what about the future? With how talkative Lin Jai was, there was no way she wouldn't chat on her Moments page. He could choose not to appear on Soft Bun's Moments page, but what if Lin Jai appeared on his Moments page? After pondering for a moment, Lin Jiej decided to go all out and block Lin Jai from seeing his Moments page. After confirming that his account as less than 111,111 was safe and secure, he reluctantly tapped into Yao Loves Ice Cream's WeChat and sent a message over. Seeing that he was still blacklisted, he tapped into the group once more. And after confirming that there really wasn't any response from her, he put down his phone and lay down once more. He closed his eyes and a moment later, he suddenly recalled the first time he was matched with Shi Yao in the game. It was Xia Shangzhou who took the initiative to add her as a friend, and in order to have him and Lu Benlai carry her in the game, Xia Shangzhou seemed to have given Lu Benlai quite a few red packets. In the afternoon, when he decided to cut ties with Big White Chubby, he returned all of the things that Xia Shangzhou had bought for him. But Lu Benlai, how could Soft Bun allow another man to pay for her games? With such thoughts in mind, Lin Jiej sat up once more and asked, "Old Xia, how many red packets did you give Lu Benlai to play with you and Yao Yao?" Xia Shangzhou was already asleep, but Lin Jiej's question left him dazed. "What? I'm going to be late?" Lin Jiej couldn't be bothered with Xia Shangzhou anymore. Instead, he turned to Lu Benlai and said, "Little Lai Lai, speak." Lu Benlai hadn't fallen asleep yet, so he replied, 800 renminbi. Lin Jiej picked up his phone and tapped on it a few times. A moment later, a notification sounded on Xia Shangzhou's phone. After saying those words, Xia Shangzhou glanced at the sky outside. It was still dark, so he lay back down and went back to sleep. Seeing that Xia Shangzhou had no intention of accepting the money, Lin Jiej got off his bed and walked over to Xia Shangzhou's bedside. He took his phone and unlocked it with Xia Shangzhou's finger. The first 800 renminbi came with a message. Money for Lu Benlai to play with Yao. The second sum of money was 800 renminbi, and it came with a message. The money you used to accompany Yao Yao to play games. After settling Shi Yao's gaming debt, Lin Jiej returned to his bed and looked at his phone once more. Seeing that his WeChat was empty and there were no new messages, only then did he put down the phone. He didn't sleep well last night, so he didn't feel sleepy tonight. Closing his eyes, many scenes of him playing with Soft Bun surfaced in his mind. This was especially so when he recalled Soft Bun and Xia Shangzhou discussing that he was Xiao Longnu and had met Yin Jiping. If he was Xiao Longnu, wouldn't she be Yin Jiping? She forced herself on him? Lin Jiej's face reddened, and he couldn't help but flip around. Unfortunately, Yin Jiping had locked him up in a small black room. The more Lin Jiej thought about it, the more agitated he became. Even though it was already very late, he still rushed over to the sexy and frisky WeChat group and sent a series of messages. Less than 111,111, Squinting eyes face, Yao loves ice cream. This is my sincere apology. 111,111. Sent a red packet with a complimentary message. Jelly. Less than 111,111. Sent a red packet with a complimentary message. Pudding. Less than 111,111. Sent a red packet with a complimentary message. Donut. Less than 111,111. Sent a red packet with a complimentary message. Juice. Less than 111,111. Sent a red packet with a complimentary message. Yogurt. Less than 111,111. Sent a red packet with a complimentary message. Ice cream. Chapter 309. After thanking Juice, Expert, and Tide in the group chat, Yao intentionally ignored less than 111,111 and switched her phone to silent mode before going to sleep. She had a lesson at 8 the next morning, so she woke up at 6:30. As there was still plenty of time, she didn't wake up immediately to wash up. Instead, she picked up her phone. There were quite a few notifications on WeChat. Who would be sending me messages in the middle of the night? Perplexed, Yao tapped into WeChat and realized that all of her unread messages were from the Sexy and Frisky group. Tapping on the top of the list of unread messages, the first thing that caught her eye was a message from less than 111,111. Less than 111,111. Squinting eyes face, Yao loves ice cream. I'm sorry. Sorry. Yao's hand trembled, and her phone nearly slipped from her fingers and smashed into her face. Mr. Numbers actually apologized to me? Yao rubbed her eyes to make sure that her eyes weren't playing tricks on her before she calmed her frightened heart and continued reading. Less than 111,111. I didn't blacklist you. I wasn't paying attention this afternoon, and my pet accidentally touched my phone screen and blacklisted you. Less than 111,111. I've already removed you from my blacklist. May I ask if I can remove you from your blacklist as well? Juice Boss, is the pet you're talking about Peppa Pig? Less than 111,111. It's Peppa Pig who blacklisted Sis Yao. So, Mr. Numbers didn't blacklist her because she killed him? So, it was all a misunderstanding. But then again, Mr. Numbers actually has a pet? If the name is Peppa Pig, could it be that his pet is a pig? While thinking about how unique Mr. Numbers' taste was, Yao continued scrolling down the chat history. Mr. Numbers contacted her again and sent her an apology. Perhaps because she hadn't appeared in the chat for a long time? Juice and Expert had also sent her a message. Yao wasn't a petty person to begin with. She was indeed a little displeased when she realized that Mr. Numbers had blacklisted her last night. But after reading the reason behind it, she had already moved on from the matter. Seeing that they hadn't slept in the group for the entire night, she couldn't help but feel a little embarrassed. Without looking at the rest of the messages, Yao typed out a message and sent it into the group. Yao loves ice cream. Well, I slept last night. No one paid attention to her. Yao thought that it was probably because everyone was still sleeping, so she went back to reading the unfinished messages. In the end, all he saw was a series of red packets. They were all sent by 11111. Jelly, pudding, donuts, juice, yogurt, ice cream. She liked all of them. Staring at the screen, Yao gulped down a mouthful of saliva. She didn't accept the red packet. Instead, she released 111,111 from her blacklist and sent 111,111 a private message with silly smile emoji. Considering how late they had slept last night, it was unlikely that Mr. Numbers would be replying to her message anytime soon. With such thoughts in mind, Yao climbed out of bed and went to wash up. When she came out of the bathroom, she took a look at the time and saw that there was an unread WeChat message. Tapping on it, she saw that it was a message from 111,111. Good morning. Mr. Numbers slept so late last night, but he actually woke up so early today? While Yao was still deep in thought, 111,111 sent another message. Why didn't you accept the red packets in the group? Yao typed a reply. I'll accept your apology, but there's no need for the red packets. 111,111. So you're still angry. Yao loves ice cream. No, I haven't been angry for a long time. 111,111. Since that's the case, I'll accept the red packets. Sure, Yao was rendered speechless. Are all tycoons forcing others to accept their money like this? Chapter 310. Sure, Yao's speechlessness only lasted for a short 10 seconds. In these 10 seconds, less than 111,111 sent 3 consecutive messages. Why aren't you accepting the red packets yet? Are you still angry? Looking at the messages on the screen, Sure Yao thought this is probably what they mean by hard to turn down. So she hard to turn down the sexy and frisky WeChat group and accepted all of the red packets. Every single red packet had a maximum value of 200 renminbi. As a result, Sure Yao's WeChat wallet, which had already been reduced to a single digit, suddenly had a balance of 1,202 renminbi. 1,200 renminbi. This sum really put a lot of pressure on her. With such thoughts in mind, Sure Yao sent a private message to less than 111,111. The red packets are really big. I'm feeling a little uneasy. It was hard to tell whether Mr. Numbers was asleep or busy with something else, but it took a long while before Sure Yao received his message. Less than 111,111. It'll be fine once you get used to it. It'll be fine once you get used to it. What does that mean? Is he saying that once I get used to accepting his red packets, I won't feel uneasy anymore? But the two of them were only online friends, and they had never met in real life. There was no reason for him to keep sending her red packets. So it was likely that he was just casually saying it, so there was no need for her to think too much of it. Since she had already accepted the red packets, Sure Yao felt bad about not replying to Mr. Numbers' message. After a moment of contemplation, she explained why she had blacklisted Mr. Numbers last night. I thought that you blacklisted me because I killed you, so I blacklisted you too. I really didn't know that it was you. I thought that it was a robot. After receiving Sure Yao's message, Lin Jiej, who hadn't slept for the entire night, suddenly felt drowsy. As Sure Yao had been sending him messages non-stop, he could only force himself to chat with her. However, when he heard that she thought that the person she killed was a robot, his drowsiness immediately dissipated. Soft Bun actually thought that he was a robot. Without any hesitation, Lin Jiej replied, I was distracted, so I couldn't focus on my game. Upon seeing 111,111's message, Sure Yao immediately recalled the conversation between Juice and Peppa Pig in the group chat last night. She quickly typed on her keyboard and replied, Is it your pet that's causing trouble? Lin Jiej was taken aback for a moment before he realized that the pet Sure Yao was referring to was Peppa Pig. But Peppa Pig was her. Just as Lin Jiej was wondering how he should reply to Sure Yao's message, she sent him another message. Is your pet a cat or a dog? It's called Peppa Pig. Could it be a pig? I also want to raise a cat or a dog, but I'm afraid I can't be responsible. Will your Peppa Pig pee and poop everywhere? Young lady, I don't know how to answer this question of yours. On the other end of the call, Sure Yao, who had no idea who Peppa Pig was still sending a message to Lin Jiej. Isn't it cute and fun to play with? Yes, it was cute, but it was fun. How should he play it? As if choking on his words, Lin Jiej stared at his phone screen for a very long time before replying, She's pretty cute. Due to class, Sure Yao didn't manage to reply to 111,111's WeChat in time. It was only during the break between classes that she took a look at her phone and noticed that less than 111,111 had sent her a new message as well. Less than 111,111. Well, I have a question for you. Do you know the famous figure of G University, Lin Jiej? Why would Mr. Numbers suddenly ask me this question? Sure Yao replied honestly. I do. Then she added, What's wrong? Less than 111,111. What do you think of him? Chapter 311. Less than 111,111. What do you think of him? The questions that Mr. Numbers was asking were getting weirder and weirder. Shouldn't a man like him be concerned about how a girl was doing? Why would he be concerned about how another man was doing? The more Sure Yao thought about it, the more perplexed she felt. Lin Jiej was indeed a popular figure in Ji University. Just from what Tian Zhongyu and the others had told her, she knew just how popular Lin Jiej was among the girls in the university. Just 2 days ago, during the examinations, she even saw a girl inviting him out for a meal. Could it be that Mr. Numbers had feelings for Lin Jiej? With such thoughts in mind, Shi Yao immediately replied less than 111,111's message. Initially, Lin Jiej only wanted to change the topic because he couldn't bear to see Shi Yao continue talking about Peppa Pig. Perhaps it was because he hadn't slept all night, or perhaps it was because he rarely chatted with girls, but his thoughts were a little muddled. He couldn't think of a better topic even after thinking for a long while. Eventually, he thought that he could make use of this opportunity to understand Shi Yao's impression of him, so he changed the topic to him. After successfully sending the question, "What do you think of him?" Lin Jiej suddenly felt a little nervous. This kind of nervousness was something he had never felt in his entire life. It was mixed with a little anticipation and a little fear. After waiting for a long while, his phone finally responded. Lin Jiej quickly picked up his phone and saw Shi Yao's message. It can't be that Lin Jiej is your Yin Jiping, right? What the heck? What kind of relationship do I have with Yin Jiping? Without thinking too much about it, Lin Jiej replied with a question mark. Question mark. This time it didn't take long for Shi Yao to respond. What I mean is that it can't be that you have feelings for Lin Jiej, right? Lin Jiej was stunned for 2 seconds before he finally understood what Shi Yao was getting at. She was thinking that he liked Lin Jiej? So, when she said that Lin Jiej was Yin Jiping, she was referring to him being tainted by himself? Just what in the world was Soft Bun's head filled with? Taking a deep breath, Lin Jiej suppressed the urge to pry open Shi Yao's head and replied to her via WeChat. What are you thinking about? Yao loves ice cream, so you're not asking me this question because you like him? Even if the other party was him, and he truly loved her, he couldn't allow Soft Bun to think that he liked men. With this thought in mind, Lin Jiej replied without any hesitation, "Of course not. My sexual orientation is very straight." If Mr. Numbers were to deny that he didn't like Lin Jiej, why did he have to say that his sexual orientation was normal? Shi Yao felt a little embarrassed as she replied. Then why are you asking me this question? 111,111. Isn't he very popular in school? That's why I suddenly thought of asking. Indeed, Lin Jiej was indeed very popular in Ji University. There were many times when she was eating in the canteen, and she could hear the girls around her talking about him. Just that, even a man like Mr. Numbers had a gossipy side to him. With such thoughts in mind, Shi Yao typed. So that's the case, Lin Jiej. Shi Yao tilted her head to the side and pondered for a moment. She recalled how Expert had asked Mr. Numbers if her voice was nice, and Mr. Numbers' reply made her feel that this was a suitable topic for her. Thus she continued typing. Let's go with that. Chapter 312. Ding dong, Lin Jiej's phone rang by his ear, and he immediately opened his eyes to pick it up. That Lin Jiej, upon seeing Shi Yao's message, Lin Jiej instinctively held his breath. He paused for roughly 3 seconds before he slowly moved his gaze to read the message. Just like that. Lin Jiej felt as if someone had smacked him in the head, and his mind went completely blank. It took him a long while before he finally blinked his eyes lightly, and his thoughts began to return. Lin Jiej. Just like that. Just like that. Is he just like that in Soft Bun's heart? He admitted that he had said a lot of nasty things to her back then, so it was normal for her to have a bad impression of him. However, he had been treating her really well recently. Even if it wasn't 100 points, it should at least be at least 90 points, alright, even if it wasn't 90 points, at the very least he should at least be at least 80 points, right? She said that was it. Could it be that she didn't even have 70 points? Lin Jiej really couldn't accept Shi Yao's evaluation of him. He tried his best to calm his emotions down before replying to Shi Yao's message. You're being too perfunctory. Can you be more specific? Yao loves ice cream. More specific? He's handsome, has good grades, and comes from a prestigious family. And in any case, he's the kind of guy that many girls like. Finally, there's something nice to say. Lin Jiej's heart calmed down a little and he asked, what about you? Is he the kind of guy you like? Or rather, if you were to give him a score out of 100, what score would you give him? Mr. Number seemed to be a little too nosy. To think that he would even ask if Lin Jiej was the guy she liked. Shi Yao bit on her left thumb as she tilted her head in contemplation. To Lin Jiej, he didn't wish for others to know that they were engaged. Even though they could be considered as friends at the moment, he probably didn't want her to talk too much about him either. As for liking him, that shouldn't be a word between the two of them, right? Shi Yao pondered for a moment before replying to 111,111's WeChat. Yao loves ice cream. To be honest, I do know him, but we're not that close. Not that close. Upon seeing those words, Lin Jiej abruptly sprang up from his bed. In an instant he was no longer sleepy. Not that close. In Soft Bun's heart, I'm not that close to her? His phone vibrated again, and a new message appeared on the screen. Yao loves ice cream. How should I put this? It's just that we can more or less be considered friends. Just barely. Lin Jiej had always been fond of using these words, but this was the first time that he found them to be extremely harsh and piercing. Completely unaware of Lin Jiej's current situation, Shi Yao was still sending him messages. Yao loves ice cream. I think that he's a decent person. If you're going to give him a score, it's just for me and not anyone else. I think that he should be able to get 60 points. 60 points? The low score far exceeded his expectations, causing Lin Jiej's face to turn a little pale. Chapter 313. While the word not bad was a little irksome at times, the word not bad still allowed him to find a sense of balance. It seemed like Soft Bun's impression of him wasn't hopelessly bad after all. I knew that I'd at least get 80 points. Just as Lin Jiej was rejoicing over his luck, Shi Yao's message appeared on the screen once more. Yao loves ice cream. After some thought, I think I'll give him 70 points. Yao loves ice cream. I still think that 70 points is a little on the high side. Forget it, I'll compromise a little and give him 65 points. Yao loves ice cream. Let me tell you a secret. If I were to give him a score in the past, I'd definitely give him minus 100 points. No, I'd say minus 1,000 points. Yao loves ice cream, but now on account of the delicious food, I'll give him a passing mark. Shi Yao's 4 consecutive messages left Lin Jiej in a daze. 70 points? It's actually only 70 points? Isn't this a little too low? 65 points? And it's just barely passable. It's really not even 70 points? Minus 1,000 points? Was he really that bad in her heart in the past? And his passing mark was earned through delicious food. His existence in her heart was actually inferior to that of delicious food? Lin Jiej had no idea what was going on with him, but his mood had suddenly plummeted to an unprecedented low. He thought that he could finally sleep peacefully after being released from her blacklist, but now he couldn't fall asleep at all. He didn't respond to Shi Yao's message. Instead, he sat quietly on his bed for a while before lying down and staring blankly at the ceiling for a long time. It took a while before a new thought surfaced in his mind. It's only natural that Soft Bun doesn't have a good impression of me, right? Who asked me to be so arrogant back then? Actually, it doesn't really matter, does it? After all, Soft Bun's current impression of me isn't hopelessly bad. After all, I still have 65 points. It was fortunate that he was smart enough not to expose his identity as less than 111,111. Given that he had 2 identities at the moment, even if Lin Jiej was out of the question, he still had less than 111,111. He didn't believe that either of his identities would be able to achieve the perfection that Soft Bun had in mind. Even though Lin Jiej had been trying his best to console himself, he still couldn't help but feel a stifling sensation in his chest. It seemed like this was the first time in his life that he cared so much about the impression he left in someone's heart, right? It's impossible for me to fall asleep. With such thoughts in mind, Lin Jiej got off the bed, took a shower, and switched on his laptop to work on his project. Shi Yao's life hadn't changed much in the past few days. If she really wanted to find something to change, then there were really 2 things. The first thing she noticed was that the number of girls chasing after Lin Jiej seemed to be increasing lately. From calling her once every 2 days to get her to dispose of the confessions and snacks that the girls had given him, it grew to once a day, then twice a day, and today it had even broken through to thrice a day. Chapter 3:14. In the blink of an eye, it was another Friday. After finishing her morning lessons, Shi Yao had her lunch at the canteen. Glancing at the blinding sunlight outside the window, she decided to head back home when the sun set. Shortly after returning to her dormitory room, Shi Yao received a message on her phone. It was from less than 111,111, inviting her to a game. Shi Yao wasn't sleepy, so she didn't have the urge to take an afternoon nap. Considering that there were still a few more hours before she had to return home, she accepted Mr. Number's invitation, logged into the game, and entered the room he had shared with her. Juice and Expert weren't around. Shi Yao had been asking them about it in the group chat, but they said that they were busy revising and preparing for their exams. So, after putting on her earphones, Shi Yao casually asked, "Are Juice and Expert still busy revising?" Mr. Numbers replied with an before falling silent. Even though the two of them were spending more time playing than before, Mr. Numbers still didn't like to talk much. However, compared to the past when Mr. Numbers switched off his microphone was now on whenever he played with Shi Yao. Even if the two of them weren't talking, Shi Yao could still hear the occasional faint sounds coming from his side through the earphones. On the third round, a female voice suddenly spoke from Mr. Numbers' side. "The fruits are here." Mr. Numbers didn't respond. The female voice didn't respond either. Even though it was through the phone, Shi Yao could still tell that the female voice belonged to a middle-aged man. It was only because of the word fruits that Shi Yao asked, "Are you at home?" Less than 111,111, Shi Yao. "Was the person who brought the fruits to you earlier your mother?" Less than 111,111. "No, it's the auntie at home." Shi Yao replied with an "oh." 5 seconds later, she suddenly realized something and asked, "Are you from Beijing?" Less than 111,111 replied with an before replying with a yes. While he was speaking, he even killed someone in the game. Shi Yao replied casually, "What a coincidence. I'm from Beijing too, but my house is in the suburbs. What about you?" Less than 111,111 gave her a rough location. Shi Yao was astonished. Mr. Number's house was actually in the same area as Lin Jie's. When it was around 5 o'clock, Shi Yao finally logged off and Lin Jie stopped playing. He closed his eyes and rested for a while. Then, he found his computer and continued with his unfinished project. At around 7 o'clock, a maid called him for dinner. He put down his laptop, and when he headed down the stairs, he sent a message to Shi Yao. "Are you home yet?" Shi Yao didn't respond to him. He didn't mind either. After dinner, Lin Jie took a stroll in the courtyard. When he returned, he took out his phone and sent Shi Yao a WeChat message. "Are you done eating? Are you playing games?" Shi Yao continued to ignore him. Bored, he watched the television for a while longer before whipping out his phone and sending Shi Yao a WeChat message. "Call me when you're done with your work." There was still no reply from Shi Yao. This time, Lin Jie didn't do anything else to pass the time. Instead, he logged into the game only to see that Shi Yao was actually online. Then he sent a message to Shi Yao in the game. "Pull me after this round." He didn't log out of the game. Instead, he waited until Shi Yao's game was over before he took the initiative to form a party with her. After a long while, Shi Yao finally agreed to his request. As he put on his earphones, he replied with a hello. Right after he said those words, the microphone icon next to Shi Yao's name lit up, and a male voice sounded in his ears, "Hello." Chapter 3:15. Right after he said those words, the microphone icon next to Shi Yao's name lit up, and a male voice sounded in his ears, "Hello." As it was a single hello, Lin Jie thought that it was a reply from him, so he asked once more, "Are you there?" I'm here. Yao loves ice cream replied. The voice from the other end of the earpiece was still that of a man. Lin Jie abruptly froze in his tracks. This time, the voice from the other end of the earpiece was completely different from what he had said, so he didn't even have the chance to respond like before. His mind was completely blank, as if he had been struck dumb. On the other end of the game, after waiting for a long while without receiving a reply, Shi Yao's voice sounded once more, Hey, can you hear me? Can you hear me?" The clear voice of the man crashed into Lin Jiej's eardrums. A moment later, Lin Jiej's eyes slowly darted around, and before he knew what he was supposed to do, he had already spoken. Who are you? By the time he was done speaking, he realized that his tone was terrifyingly foreign. It was cold and filled with rage, and there was a slight tremble in his voice. The man who had logged into Shi Yao's account replied swiftly. Perhaps because he had sensed that Lin Jiej's tone was unpleasant, his words were also very direct. And who are you? And who am I? I'll be the owner of the game I log into in the future. The closest person in the world. Lin Jiej's eyes turned a little cold. Who I am isn't important. What's important is why are you logging into her account? Speaking up to this point, Lin Jiej suddenly recalled how Shi Yao hadn't replied to any of his WeChat messages. This was something that had never happened before. Could she have lost her phone on her way home? With this thought in mind, Lin Jiej spoke up once more. Did you pick up her phone? Name a price. How much are you willing to pay for your phone? The man, bro, is your brain alright? Which eye of yours saw that I picked up her phone? Let me tell you, I don't even need to pick up this phone. I can use it whenever I want. This was the first time Lin Jiej had seen someone acting so righteously after picking up someone else's belongings. Lin Jiej had never been on the losing end in a battle of words. There's no need for you to spout such arrogant words to me. You should save it for the police. You sure are funny. Putting aside the fact that I don't know the account owner, you're just an online friend in the game. You're an insignificant existence to the account owner, so why do you care so much about it? You're such a jokester, aren't you? An insignificant existence? Talking about him? You must be joking. How could he possibly be an insignificant existence to Soft Bun? Lin Jiej was just about to retort back, but before he could say anything, the male voice sounded from the earpiece once more. Do you know who the account owner is? Do you know how old this account owner is? Do you know the phone number of the caller? Where do you live? You don't know any of this, do you? Chapter 316. I'm really not bragging, but in this world, if you ask the account owner who the man she cares about the most is, she'll definitely say it's me. Sure enough, there's no need to pay taxes on one's bragging. Lin Jiej was just about to sneer coldly at the man with a he, to signal him to continue bragging, but just like before, the man didn't even give him a chance to speak before he spoke once more. Compared to before, his voice was much louder this time around, and it was clear that his words weren't directed at Lin Jiej. Yao, wash an apple for me? Even though it was quite a distance away, Lin Jiej could still hear a female voice through the earpiece. Alright? He was very familiar with that voice, and he could tell that it was Shi Yao's. A second ago, Lin Jiej was still mocking the man for his boasting, but at this moment he felt as if someone had smacked him in the head with a stick, causing him to freeze in place. Roughly a minute later, he heard the faint sound of footsteps through the earpiece, and the man's voice sounded, "Thank you, baby." Following which, Shi Yao's voice sounded, "You're welcome, baby." Following the crisp sound of the man chewing on the apple, Shi Yao spoke up once more. Supper is almost ready. Remember to come for it later. I'll be taking a bath first. Chewing on the apple, the man replied, Sure, sure. Moi. Shi Yao didn't say anything else. A few seconds later, the man added, Be careful when you're taking a bath. Don't fall. Got it? Shi Yao said those 3 words before the sound of a door closing echoed in the room. The earpiece was silent for roughly 10 seconds before the man spoke again with a boastful tone. Do I have to say anything now? I don't care what you were thinking earlier to interfere in the account owner's business, but let me give you a piece of advice. You can play games with the account owner, but don't harbor any improper thoughts toward her. Because you can't remember. The man chattered on for a very long time before finally coming to a stop. Lin Jiej didn't say a word, but he didn't mind. When the sound of chewing on the apple finally stopped, the man said, Bro, can you prepare for the game? Since there was no response, the man urged once more, Bro, do you want to play or not? After a long while, Lin Jiej finally came back to his senses. He didn't say anything and just logged out of the game. Baby. Soft Bun called that guy baby. Not only did she call him baby, she even washed apples for that boy. Not only did she wash apples, she even cooked supper. Cooking supper was one thing, but it was already so late. A man and a woman were alone in the same room, and she even went to take a shower. Her phone was such a private thing. Yet she had given it to that boy and even allowed him to log into her game account. Awesome, awesome, truly awesome. The more Lin Jiej thought about it, the more flustered he became. Although he didn't know what he was panicking about. After an unknown amount of time, his phone rang. He glanced at the caller ID, but he couldn't see who it was. It wasn't until he answered the call absent-mindedly and heard the person on the other end telling him the address and inviting him out to play that he finally realized that the caller was Liang Juicy. When he hung up the phone, he inadvertently glanced at the mirror in front of him. He was wearing a white t-shirt. His face was clean, and his clothes were neat and tidy. However, he felt as if his whole body was emitting a green light. Chapter 317. Lin Jiej stared at his reflection in the mirror for a very long time. It was only when his face was so green that it was almost as green as his face that he retracted his gaze and entered his changing room. He usually liked to wear white clothes, but there were quite a few clothes of other colors in his wardrobe. Most of these clothes were bought by his mother or sister, and most of them didn't even have their tags cut off. Under normal circumstances, Lin Jiej wouldn't pay attention to these clothes. However, while he was tidying up his hair, he caught a glimpse of a green t-shirt hanging in the wardrobe behind him through the mirror. Why would such a color appear in his room? Lin Jiej hesitated for 2 seconds before he walked over to the wardrobe and pulled down the green t-shirt. Following which, he saw a camouflage uniform next to it. There were light green, dark green, and even grayish green on it. Frowning, Lin Jiej pulled down that camouflage uniform as well. After which, he carefully searched around his changing room and took out all of the clothes that had a hint of green in them. Just as Lin Jiej was about to head out with the clothes in his arms, he suddenly thought for a moment before returning to the changing room. Amidst the pile of clothes, he found the greenest t-shirt and swapped it for the white t-shirt he was wearing. After which, he carried the clothes downstairs once more. As soon as Lin Jiej arrived at the living room, a maid came out from the kitchen with a platter of fruits in her hands. She was just about to bring it up to Lin Jiej's room. The moment the maid saw Lin Jiej, she subconsciously wanted to say, "Young master, have some fruits." But before she could say anything, she saw the green t-shirt Lin Jiej was wearing and the pile of clothes of different shades of green in his embrace. The maid was stunned for a full 10 seconds before she looked at Lin Jiej with a perplexed expression and asked, "Young master, what are you doing?" Without saying a word, Lin Jiej walked over to the entrance, opened the door, and tossed the clothes in his embrace outside. "Young master, those clothes are still fine. Why did you throw them away?" the maid asked anxiously. She placed the platter of fruits on the table by the side before walking out of the room to pick up the clothes. Lin Jiej opened the shoe cabinet, and when he was taking out his shoes, he saw a few pairs of shoes with a hint of green on them, so he took them out and tossed them outside as well. Even his favorite white shoes were thrown out without any hesitation because there was a little green on the back of them. As he threw them away, he said to the servant outside the door, "Find a place to deal with these things. In short, don't appear in my sight again." After saying those words, Lin Jiej checked the shoe cabinet to ensure that there was nothing wrong with his remaining shoes before putting them on. "Young master, it's already so late. Are you still going out?" Lin Jiej ignored the maid. "I've already cut the fruits for you. There are some imported apples from New Zealand that you said were delicious. Do you want to eat some before you go out?" Upon hearing the word apple, Lin Jiej abruptly halted his footsteps and asked, "Who told you to cut an apple for me? When did I say that apples taste better? I hate eating apples the most. Don't let me see apples at home in the future. Also, what's that green color on the mural? Throw it away." The servant turned pale with fright. "You can't do that, young master. Sir spent a lot of money to get it from the auction." Chapter 318. The maid had never seen such an unreasonable young master before, and she replied fearfully, "Those are the flowers that young miss ordered this morning." "Are those flowers? Aren't flowers supposed to be flowers? Why are there so many green leaves? Does this florist think that green leaves are cheap, so they're using them to scam their customers? Which florist ordered them from?" I'm going to give them a bad review. Later on, remove all the green leaves in the vase. Just leave the flowers there. As Lin Jiej spoke, he pointed to other parts of the room and said, also, what kind of flower is that? It's so green that it hurts my eyes. I'll throw it away too. The maid replied, that won't do, young master. That's a plant that old mister has been raising for many years. We can't throw it away. Since we can't throw it away, we'll just store it in the basement. Lin Jiej didn't care whether the plants could survive in the absence of sunlight or not. After helping the servant figure out a path for the plants, he pointed to a pair of earrings placed in a small box on the shoe cabinet at the entrance and asked, what's this? Why is it so green? As he spoke, Lin Jiej reached out to grab it. Fearing that he would throw it away, the maid hurriedly snatched the earrings away before he could. Young master, you can't throw this away either. These are Madam's jade earrings, her dowry. They're from the Qing dynasty, and they're extremely expensive. If you throw them away, Madam will lecture you to death. She even changed my name to Green Jiej when she lectured me. Lin Jiej spat those words at the servant before turning around and walking away. On the way to the garage, he thought furiously, dowry? Things from the Qing dynasty are very expensive. Could it be a fake? Just look at that scary green color. Even if you offered him money, he wouldn't want it. Liang Jusi would invite Lin Jiej out to play almost every weekend. Over the past 2 weeks, Lin Jiej had been busy playing games with Shi Yao, so he rejected Liang Jusi without hesitation. Tonight, when he arrived at the place Liang Jusi mentioned, Liang Jusi was stunned to see him. Brother Jia, you're finally doting on me. Doting your head. Do I have such weird taste? Lin Jiej shot a sidelong glance at Liang Jusi before walking over to the sofa and sitting down. The suite that Liang Jusi had booked was only lit up with a few colorful lights, so the lighting was extremely dim. As such, it was only when Lin Jiej walked up to Liang Jusi that Liang Jusi realized that Lin Jiej was wearing a green t-shirt. His eyes widened in astonishment once more as he exclaimed, Brother Jia, you've been a hermit for quite some time recently. Did your sense of beauty really change so much? This time Lin Jiej didn't even spare Liang Jusi a glance as he picked up a cocktail on the table. Just as he was about to open his mouth to drink, he realized that the cocktail was light green. There was a slice of green lemon on the side of the bottle, and a green mint leaf floating on top of the wine. Lin Jiej abruptly shut his mouth and tossed the cocktail back onto the table. Why aren't you drinking? This is their new cocktail. It's very delicious. Liang Jusi asked in confusion. If you want to drink, drink it yourself. Lin Jiej glanced at the table in front of him and saw a green wine bottle, a green wine glass, green grapes, and an apple. The apple was clearly freshly washed, and there were still water droplets on it. So, was this the scene when Softbun washed the apple for that man earlier? Chapter 319. Why? Did green offend you? If you're unhappy, why don't you sing a song? Why don't I pick your favorite song, Green Light? Liang Jusi hummed as he spoke, looking forward to a stroke of luck and an impact. What a miraculous encounter. Past the mountain peak and the layers of clouds, where's the green light? After picking the song, Liang Jusi found a microphone and passed it over to Lin Jiej. Like an electric shock, like a miracle streaking across my life. Unlike any other. You're the green light. It was only after he finished humming the lyrics that he realized something was amiss with the atmosphere. Liang Jusi paused for a second before slowly raising his gaze to look at Lin Jiej's face. The young man was staring straight at him. Perhaps it was due to the green t-shirt he was wearing, but there was a hint of green in the depths of his eyes. A shudder ran down Liang Jusi's spine. In the next second he retracted the microphone and shouted, Retreat! Retreat immediately! Everything that's green has to be taken away. Soon Liang Jusi called a waiter over. Soon everything in the room that had anything to do with green was removed. The waiter followed Liang Jusi's instructions, and after everything was done he asked politely, Is there anything else I can do for you? Liang Jusi was just about to say no when Lin Jiej spoke up. Take away the apples too. The waiter was stunned. Liang Jusi was taken aback as well, but he quickly recovered and shouted, Yes, yes, yes. After the waiter left with a huge plate of apples, Liang Jusi walked up to Lin Jiej and asked with a cheeky smile, Brother Jia, is everything fine now? Lin Jiej nodded silently. but his complexion seemed to have improved significantly. Liang Jusi had a lot of friends, so the suite was bustling with noise and excitement. However, Lin Jiej seemed to be sitting alone on the sofa, not drinking, talking, or singing, as if he wasn't part of the group. Everyone could tell that Lin Jiej was behaving strangely, so they automatically avoided the 2-meter radius around him. Lin Jiej had no idea how long he sat alone in the bustling environment, but when he turned his attention back to the suite, he saw a young lady eating dumplings. Dumplings? Glancing at the takeaway box in front of the young lady, Zhang Xian's eyes flickered as he suddenly recalled the time when Shi Yao ate 3 huge bowls of wontons at the breakfast stall near her school. He could still vividly remember watching Soft Bun eating back then. The sight of her eating had been very pleasing to the eye, and it had left him in a good mood. But this girl Lin Jiej stared at the young lady who was eating wontons while looking at her phone for a moment, and he realized that he didn't feel the same way he did when he saw Soft Bun eating wontons. It couldn't be that he only had feelings for Soft Bun, could it? Lin Jiej pondered for a moment before turning to the dumpling-eating female student and saying, "I'm sorry to interrupt you, but can you not look at your phone and focus on eating your dumplings?" The young lady was taken aback by Lin Jiej's suggestion, but she didn't turn him down. Nodding her head, she put away her phone and focused on eating her dumplings. Lin Jiej stared at the young lady for less than 3 seconds before shaking his head. It still didn't give him the same feeling as when Soft Bun was eating wontons. Or was the scene not right? Lin Jiej lowered his gaze and pondered for a moment before asking, "Is there any female student here who's willing to help me out?" Chapter 320. Lin Jiej wasn't in a hurry to reply. Instead, he scanned the ladies in the room one by one before his eyes finally stopped on the most beautiful lady. This lady was quite good-looking, just that she wasn't as pretty as Soft Bun. But there was no helping it. She was the most beautiful lady he could find, so he had to make do with her. With this thought in mind, Lin Jiej asked politely, "Are you all right with it?" The girl nodded and looked very happy. "Sure." Lin Jiej nodded as he thought back to the time when Shi Yao was taking her examination. He had stood before the window and looked into Shi Yao's eyes, and after that, he had briefly explained his request to the young lady. Even though the lady had no idea what Lin Jiej was up to, she still followed his instructions. Lin Jiej and the lady stared at one another quietly. Following his instructions, the lady winked at him from time to time. 30 seconds passed. Lin Jiej realized that his heart was as calm as still water, and he didn't feel anything at all. A minute passed. Lin Jiej didn't feel like the lady was flirting at all. A minute and 30 seconds passed. Not only did Lin Jiej not feel seduced at all, he even felt a little tired of this lady's beauty. In less than 2 minutes, Lin Jiej finally gave up. He asked once more, "Can I trouble you to help me eat another apple?" The girl nodded her head in confusion. Lin Jiej shot a glance at the equally confused Liang Jusi and said, "Help me get the waiter to bring an apple over." Lin Jiej paused for a moment before adding, "The bigger the apple, the better." Soon the apple was brought over. Lin Jiej gestured for the lady to focus on eating the apple. After the lady nodded, Lin Jiej stared at her intently. That young lady was really eating the apple earnestly, but Lin Jiej couldn't find the urge to snap a photo of Soft Bun eating an apple back in his grandfather's ward and preserve it forever. Could it be that the light wasn't bright enough? After all, the sun was really bright that day. After a moment of contemplation, Lin Jiej called for the waiter to switch on the lights in the room. He stared at the lady for a while longer, but it was to no avail. Lin Jiej frowned. He pondered for a moment longer before asking the lady once more, "One last favor. Can you act as though you've been wronged?" The girl thought and revealed an expression. Like this. Lin Jiej thought back to the time when 2 girls were badmouthing Shi Yao at the Golden Resplendence, and he recalled her reaction when she overheard it. Thus, he described it to the 2 girls in detail. "Lower your head a little and purse your lips a little more." "Yes, yes, yes, that's it." Lin Jiej stared at her face for a minute, but he still couldn't find the heartache he felt when Shi Yao revealed such an expression back then. Could it be that the girl's makeup was too thick? Shi Yao had always been barefaced, so it affected him. Lin Jiej pondered for a moment before suggesting, "Can you remove your makeup?" A conflicted look surfaced on the young lady's face, but perhaps because it was Lin Jiej's suggestion, she reluctantly nodded her head in agreement. The young lady was indeed quite beautiful. After removing her makeup, she seemed a little young, and Lin Jiej found her even more pleasing to the eye. But despite the aggrieved look on her face, Lin Jiej still couldn't find the heartache he felt for her. Liang Jusi finally couldn't take it anymore and asked, "Brother Jia, what are you up to?" As if he hadn't heard Liang Jusi's words, Lin Jiej continued staring fixedly at the young lady who was removing her makeup, and as he stared at her, two words came out of his mouth, "It's over." Chapter 321. As if he hadn't heard Liang Jusi's words, Lin Jiej continued to stare fixedly at the young lady who was removing her makeup, and as he stared at her, two words came out of his mouth, "It's over." What? Liang Jusi couldn't understand what Lin Jiej meant at all. What's over? Lin Jiej was too immersed in his thoughts to respond to Liang Jusi. Retracting his gaze from the young lady, he took out his phone, tapped into his photo album, and found the photo he had taken of Yao munching on an apple. With just a glance, he realized that his heart, which had been as calm as stagnant water, had begun beating once more. He had been staring at that young lady for so long, but the feeling that he couldn't find was easily found in this still photo. Lin Jiej raised his hand to touch his chest, and after feeling the beating of his heart, he muttered once more, "It's over, it's over, it's really over." "Brother Jia, what are you saying? I don't understand at all. What do you mean by it's over? Also, what are you looking at?" As Liang Jusi spoke, he moved closer to Lin Jiej's phone screen. Before he could look at Lin Jiej's phone screen, Lin Jiej had already locked his phone. Ignoring Liang Jusi, Lin Jiej continued on his train of thought. "I've been poisoned, I've really been poisoned." "Poisoned?" Liang Jusi's voice rose by several decibels. "What kind of poison? But I can see that your complexion is not bad." "Soft bun." Lin Jiej muttered those two words softly. His voice was a little soft, so Liang Jusi couldn't hear it clearly. All he heard was the last two words, "Bun? What bun? You want to eat bun? What kind of filling? I can buy it for you right now." Before Liang Jusi could finish his rambling, Lin Jiej's lips moved once more. "Song Chaoshi is right, she's right. And the rest of you are right too." Song Chaoshi said that the most direct manifestation of liking someone was the desire to sleep with them. Soft Bun said that his various actions were indicative of liking someone back then. He thought that since they said that he liked someone, he should just take it as that. It wasn't until tonight that he realized that they were right. He liked her. The kind of genuine, heartfelt love. He liked Soft Bun. Even though he didn't know when this feeling had started, and even though he didn't know when it started, he had fallen in love with her. Although he found out about this feeling a little late, it was real. With this thought in mind, Lin Jiej added, "I've really been poisoned by Soft Bun." "What? Was he poisoned by steamed bun? Is it because it's too hot in the summer and the stuffing is spoiled? Did you get food poisoning? You still have to go to the hospital for a checkup." Liang Jusi started nagging again. Finally snapping out of his thoughts, Lin Jiej heard the latter half of Liang Jusi's long-winded words, and with a slight frown on his forehead, he tossed out an "I'll be leaving first" before taking his leave, ignoring Liang Jusi's questions and persuasion. He walked over to the roadside and got into the car. After sitting in the car for a moment, he stepped on the accelerator and aimlessly drove around Beijing. Chapter 322. Lin Jiej drove all the way to Shi Yao's house before he finally stepped on the brakes. After turning off the engine, Lin Jiej got out of the car and glanced at Shi Yao's house. Except for one room which had a faint light, the other rooms were all pitch black. So, Soft Bun was already asleep? Had that boy already left her house? He admitted that he didn't know much about Soft Bun, but he knew that she was an only child, so she didn't have any older or younger brothers. So who was that man? Who was he to her? From their conversation, he could tell that there was something amiss between the two of them. Could it be that Soft Bun and that man? For some reason Lin Jiej, who didn't dare to think any further, suddenly recalled the first message Shi Yao had sent him. "Lin Jiej, it's Shi Yao. The reason why I'm looking for you is to tell you that we should cancel our engagement." Annulment of the engagement? That's right. How could he have forgotten? Ever since he found out about her existence 6 years ago until now, she had never looked for him. The first time she had looked for him was to annul the engagement. He did wonder why she, who had never thought of rejecting this marriage in the past 6 years, would suddenly want to cancel their engagement. But he had never looked into the matter, so could it be that the reason why she wanted to cancel their engagement was because of that man? With this thought in mind, Lin Jiej suddenly realized how frighteningly anxious he was. Did Soft Bun really have someone she liked? If Soft Bun really did have someone she liked, what should he do? Could he be like Xia Shangzhou, only to have the flames of love extinguished as soon as he realized that he had fallen in love? If it was really as he had guessed, that Soft Bun really had someone she liked, and she wanted to cancel their engagement for him, what would he do? Would he selfishly keep her for the sake of his love? A grim expression appeared on Lin Jiej's face. Even though it was just a conjecture, he couldn't help but seriously consider this question. Time slowly trickled by. The night grew darker and darker, and when the surroundings were so quiet that only the chirping of insects could be heard, Lin Jiej finally grasped the answer in his heart. If what he guessed was true, if she really had someone she liked, if she really wanted to break off the engagement with him for the person she liked, then he was willing to back out, willing to use the happiness he wanted to give her happiness. This was bad, this was really bad. It seemed like he liked her more than he had imagined. Otherwise, why would he always put himself in her shoes and think about her happiness? He had really fallen into her hands, and he had fallen very, very deeply. It wasn't as simple as just being poisoned by Soft Bun. Rather, the poison had already seeped into his bones, and there was no cure for it. Lin Jiej didn't leave Shi Yao's place for the entire night. At 8 o'clock the next morning, Shi Yao walked out of the building. Lin Jiej's first thought was to hide. Just as he was contemplating whether he should drive away or lay down in the car, he suddenly recalled how he had secretly taken out her purse and tossed it under the passenger seat so that she wouldn't pay the bill. It had been a while. Although the car was washed every day, if it wasn't maintained, it wouldn't be discovered under normal circumstances. With such thoughts in mind, Lin Jiej cautiously looked down at the passenger seat. Chapter 323. With this thought in mind, Lin Jiej tried to peer beneath the passenger seat. Then he realized that her purse was really still there. Even the heavens are helping me. With this thought in mind, Lin Jiej took out Shi Yao's purse. Now that he had a shield, he unscrupulously pressed the horn. The ear-piercing sound of the horn attracted the gazes of those who had woken up early in the morning. Of course, this included Shi Yao as well. As she was the closest to Lin Jiej's car, the sound of the horn was also the most piercing to her ears. As such, when she turned her head around, her face was filled with displeasure. However, when she saw Lin Jiej's face through the windshield, she couldn't help but be taken aback for a moment. Then, she began making her way over to Lin Jiej's car. When Shi Yao was about to reach his car, Lin Jiej pushed open the car door and got out with Shi Yao's purse. When Shi Yao saw Lin Jiej getting out of the car, she subconsciously wanted to ask why he was here. But before her words could reach her throat, she saw the t-shirt he was wearing. It was actually green. And it was a bright green. At that, Shi Yao's footsteps came to an abrupt halt. She even forgot about the question she wanted to ask Lin Jiej. When Lin Jiej saw Shi Yao, his first thought was to say that he had her purse with him. But before he could say anything, he realized that Shi Yao was looking at him with a bizarre expression. Why is she looking at me like that? Is there something wrong with me? With this thought in mind, Lin Jiej lowered his head to look at where Shi Yao was looking at him. When he came into contact with his glowing green t-shirt, he immediately understood why Shi Yao would have such a reaction. Lin Jiej didn't say anything. A moment later, when he saw that Shi Yao was still staring at his t-shirt, he asked, "Is there something wrong with my shirt?" Hearing Lin Jiej's question, Shi Yao hurriedly shifted her gaze from Lin Jiej's clothes to his face. Perplexed, she replied politely, It's not strange at all. Why are you still staring at it?" Lin Jiej didn't expose Shi Yao. Instead, he replied with an "oh" before asking, "Then what do you think of the color of my t-shirt?" She really wanted to say that it wasn't much, but Shi Yao suppressed her emotions and replied calmly, It's pretty green. Green. Lin Jiej recalled the stifled feelings he had for the entire night, and his tone became a little gloomy. Do you think this color looks good? Green wasn't a problem, but this t-shirt. It was really hard to describe, however. Yao still didn't dare to speak the truth because she noticed that there was something wrong with Lin Jiej's gaze and tone. She wasn't sure if it was her imagination, but for an instant, she felt that his gaze was a little sorrowful. Yao's heart skipped a beat in fright at her own misconception. Then, with a smile on her face, she said her first sincere words to Lin Jiej that day. The color is pretty bright. I know. Green, the kind that gives off light. Lin Jiej spoke up once more, and this time, his voice was a little deeper than before. What should I do? She felt that Lin Jiej was sorrowful once more, and it was even more sorrowful than before. Just as Yao was at a loss as to how she should reply to Lin Jiej, someone suddenly called out to her, "Baby Yao." Chapter 324. Just as Yao was at a loss as to how she should respond to Lin Jiej's words, someone suddenly called out her name, "Baby Yao." That tone, that voice, it's clearly the man from last night. Reflexively, Lin Jiej abruptly turned his head toward the source of the voice. A man dressed in a black short-sleeved shirt had just walked out of Yao's building and was currently walking toward her. In the instant that voice sounded, Yao instinctively turned her head around as well. She wanted to respond to the person who called out to her. But before she could open her mouth, she felt a chill at the back of her head. Yao subconsciously shot a glance at Lin Jiej behind her, but other than staring fixedly at the area in front of her, he didn't seem to be behaving abnormally. This is really weird. Why would I suddenly have such a feeling? With such thoughts in mind, Yao raised her hand and scratched the back of her head. In the short 10 seconds that Yao had turned around to look at Lin Jiej, the man had already walked up to her back. At the same time, in this short span of 10 seconds, Lin Jiej had already discreetly assessed the young man from head to toe, and he made a clear comparison between himself and the young man. The man's looks aren't bad, but compared to me, his eyes are a little smaller, his nose bridge is a little shorter, his mouth is a little bigger, his facial features are a little less defined, and even his skin isn't as fair and smooth as mine. His height isn't too bad either. But compared to me, he's still a little short. Even his body proportions are a little lacking. On top of that, he's wearing a pair of shorts, causing his leg hair to be a little too lush. His hairstyle isn't good enough, and his clothes aren't up to standard either. For a man like him to actually wear earrings, and those hands of his fingers aren't long enough. While Lin Jiej was racking his brains to compare himself to the man noticed that Yao was ignoring him after he called out to her. So he called out once more, "Baby Yao." As he spoke, he even reached out his hand and lightly flicked Yao's head. Does this man even have the most basic upbringing? If you want to talk, you should just talk nicely. Why are you getting physical in broad daylight? As if glued in, Lin Jiej's eyes were glued to the finger that had just flicked Yao's head. On the other hand, Yao wasn't displeased by the young man's actions. Instead, she pouted her lips innocently before turning to glare at the young man. Haven't I told you many times not to hit my head for no good reason? That's right, she doesn't even want you to touch her. Lin Jiej stared fixedly at the young man's fingers as he criticized him in his mind. Just as he was cursing in his heart, he had a mental breakdown. Didn't I tell you many times? In other words, this boy had flicked her head many times. The boy grinned and replied, "Who asked you to be so short?" Yao didn't seem to mind those words at all. "Why did you come down?" They started chatting just like that? As if he didn't exist? Lin Jiej's gaze was fixed on the young man's finger, and he feigned a sore throat as he cleared his throat. The boy, "I'm afraid that you'll be lonely and cold, so I thought about it and decided to accompany you for breakfast." "Sure, Yao. I'll have to thank you then." Chapter 325. Who's going to follow you? Also, didn't she hear the sound I made earlier? Lin Jiej waited for a few seconds, but seeing that Yao was still ignoring him, he cleared his throat once more. This time his voice was much heavier than before. "Male student. Right, Baby Yao, what are we eating?" Yao's eyes lit up. I haven't thought about it yet. I want to eat wontons, Youtiao and Grandpa Wang's buns. Male student. Baby Yao, why don't we buy some Youtiao and have some wontons at the wonton restaurant? After that, we'll take some of Grandpa Wang's buns home for lunch. Shi Yao seemed to be very satisfied with this arrangement, and her eyes curved into crescents as she replied, sure, sure. Staring at Shi Yao's smiling face, Lin Jiej coughed twice heavily. Can soft bun's threshold for humor be that low? Also, this male student is clearly using a cheat. How can he suddenly mention food to soft bun? The male student replied gleefully, how is it? Baby Yao, after listening to my arrangements, do you think that I'm very smart? Shi Yao nodded. Boy, you call this smart? Do you have some kind of misunderstanding about the word, smart? But before Shi Yao could finish her words, Lin Jiej, who had been ignored for quite a while, didn't give her the chance to speak. With a stifled groan, he bent over and placed one hand on his abdomen, while using the other to support the front of the car. Fearing that Shi Yao would continue to ignore him, Lin Jiej intentionally bumped into Shi Yao's shoulder as he bent over. Shi Yao turned her head around in bewilderment, and upon seeing Lin Jiej's expression, a frown suddenly appeared on her forehead. With a concerned look, she asked, what's wrong? Facing Shi Yao's concern, Lin Jiej waved his hands casually, seemingly trying his best to hold back something as he replied, it's nothing. After replying, Lin Jiej sneaked a glance at the male student. Hey, do you think that you're the only one who knows how to use a cheat to steal the show? Who doesn't know how to do it? From this moment onward, I'll show you what it means to have the acting skills of an Oscar winner. With this thought in mind, Lin Jiej made the pained expression on his face even more apparent. In order to make it seem more realistic, he even shuddered a little. Seeing his reaction, Shi Yao became even more nervous. You call this nothing? Where do you feel uncomfortable? Shi Yao asked as she assessed Lin Jiej. Seeing that he was clutching his abdomen, she asked, is your stomach feeling uncomfortable? Lin Jiej looked as if he was in so much pain that he couldn't speak at all. He held his breath and nodded his head slightly. A moment later he finally said softly, I was a little busy recently, so I didn't eat properly. As a result, my stomach ailments acted up. Actually, I felt better yesterday. Then, I made an appointment with my friends to come to the suburbs for a vacation. After watching the sunrise in the morning, when I was driving back to the resort to have breakfast, I found your wallet in the car. I was afraid that you wouldn't be able to find it and would be worried. Thinking that the resort is close to your house, I quickly drove over to send it to you. Did you see that, kid? That's what true intelligence is. Not only would he be able to win Soft Bun's concern, but he would also be able to win Soft Bun's heartache as well. After all, he had endured the pain of his illness and delivered it to her as soon as he found out that she had lost her purse. With such thoughts in mind, Lin Jiej suddenly sucked in a deep breath of cold air, as if he couldn't bear the pain any longer. Then he continued. It's probably because I didn't have a good dinner last night, and I haven't had breakfast yet either. My stomach is acting up again. Chapter 326. Looking at the wallet that she had been searching for days to no avail, Shi Yao became even more worried for Lin Jiej. Do you need me to accompany you to the hospital? There's no need for that. Lin Jiej waved his hands casually. Then, as if in excruciating pain, he tugged on his bright green t-shirt so hard that it deformed. I'll be fine after I return to the hotel and take some medicine. I've already delivered the wallet to you. If there's nothing else, I'll be leaving first. After saying those words, Lin Jiej reached out to open the car door, but he was unable to do so no matter how hard he tried. He was unable to open the car door. I'm already in so much pain that I can't even open the car door, so how am I supposed to drive? Shi Yao pondered for a moment before raising her head to look at the floor where her apartment was located. Then, without any hesitation, she made up her mind and said, why don't you head over to my place and rest for a while? I'll get you some stomach medicine so that you can leave after the pain has subsided, alright? Lad, do you think that you're the only one who's been to Yao Yao's place? And now I can do it too. Having fulfilled his wish, Lin Jiej couldn't wait to fly over to Shi Yao's place. Yet, he still replied with a gentlemanly tone, is it convenient? Of course it's convenient. Shi Yao replied. Then she asked, Can you walk by yourself? Do you need me to lend you a hand? Lin Jiej didn't turn her down. He replied with a thank you before allowing Shi Yao to hold his arm and help him into the building. In order to not expose himself, Lin Jiej intentionally slowed down his footsteps. Shi Yao's apartment wasn't too big, roughly around 100 square meters in size. However, it was decorated warmly. Her parents weren't home, so Shi Yao took a look at Lin Jiej's condition after entering the apartment. After a moment of hesitation, she brought him to her bedroom and said, "Can you rest on my bed for a while?" Soft Bun's bedroom, and the bed that Soft Bun is sleeping on. Suppressing the joy in his heart, Lin Jiej weakly nodded his head and replied with a polite but restrained, "Thank you." After helping Lin Jiej to his seat, Shi Yao went to look for the medicine box and fed him some stomach medicine. Lin Jiej, who didn't feel any stomachache at all, didn't even blink as he swallowed the medicine that Shi Yao fed him. After taking the medicine, Shi Yao poured a cup of warm water for Lin Jiej and said, "Your stomach is hurting so much, so it's best if you don't eat anything outside. Can I cook some porridge for you?" Lin Jiej nodded and said reservedly, "I'll be troubling you then. You should rest first then." Shi Yao was still a little worried, so before heading to the kitchen, she instructed the young man, "Go and take a look at him. If anything happens, you'll be able to help him." The young man didn't reject Shi Yao's request. He really entered Shi Yao's bedroom, sat down on the chair, and casually picked up a comic book to accompany Lin Jiej. Roughly 2 minutes later, Lin Jiej's eyes darted around as he asked, "Can you help me up? I need to go to the washroom." The man put down the comic and walked over to the bed. He was just about to reach out to help Lin Jiej up when Lin Jiej suddenly fell to the floor. Didn't he have a close relationship with Soft Bun? Didn't he say that he was the person that Soft Bun cared about the most in the world? Very well then, I'll accuse him of intentionally failing to catch him and causing him to fall to the ground. Lin Jiej, who had already planned everything out, really wanted to cry out in pain in order to attract Shi Yao's attention. But before he could make a sound, the bedroom door suddenly opened, and Shi Yao walked in wearing an apron. "Right, Lin Jiej. I forgot to introduce him to you. He's my younger brother." Chapter 327. Younger brother? As those two words echoed in his ears, Lin Jiej felt as if someone had poured a bucket of cold water over his head. His body stiffened, and with an incredulous look on his face, he exclaimed in astonishment, "Younger brother?" The man who had left him feeling stifled for an entire night, and whom he was currently vying for, was Soft Bun's younger brother. In other words, he was his brother-in-law in name? Soft Bun's younger brother was no different from his own younger brother. Someone whom he had to fawn over, not someone whom he had to scheme against. Wait a minute, isn't Soft Bun an only child? How could she have a younger brother? Could he be an illegitimate child that her father or mother secretly gave birth to outside? Pooey pooey pooey. Just how am I thinking of my father-in-law and mother-in-law? Lin Jiej hurriedly tossed these random thoughts out of his head. He was just about to ask Shi Yao where her younger brother came from when Shi Yao, who had heard his astonished tone, suddenly spoke up. "That's right. To be more precise, he's my younger cousin, the son of my aunt, who is also my father's elder sister. He's the same age as me, but he's 5 months younger than me. Due to his birthday being too late, he wasn't able to attend primary school together with me, so he's currently in his 3rd year of high school, and he'll be taking his college entrance examination next month. So, he wasn't an illegitimate child but his younger cousin. In other words, he was his younger cousin, and his younger cousin's brother-in-law. But a younger cousin was still a younger brother, and a younger cousin was still a younger cousin. He wasn't someone whom he could easily scheme against." While Lin Jiej was still trying to wrap his head around the matter, Shi Yao suddenly realized that Lin Jiej was lying on the floor. With a frown on her forehead, she asked, "Lin Jiej, why are you on the floor?" Hearing those words, Lin Jiej replied without any hesitation, "Oh, I had a stomachache, so I wanted to go to the washroom. I lost my balance and fell down. It has nothing to do with my younger brother." Shi Yao and her cousin turned to look at Lin Jiej. "Cousin? He fell down? Why did you drag him down?" Sure Yao. She was just asking out of concern. Why did he mention her younger brother? Lin Jiej was stunned for 2 seconds before he realized that he had been too nervous, that he had nearly exposed his thoughts. Thus, he quickly explained, I'm just worried that you might misunderstand. Oh, is that so? Sure Yao walked over to Lin Jiej and helped him up. At the same time, she suddenly recalled something and said, I almost forgot, I haven't finished introducing him yet. His name is Nanchang Gu Nanchang. He's the Nanchang who refused to turn back even after crashing into a wall. Gu Nanchang, who had been quiet all this while, protested unhappily, Baby Yao, I've told you many times, don't use this line when you introduce me. Completely unfazed by Gu Nanchang's displeasure, Sure Yao turned to him and said, He's Lin Jiej. I believe I don't need to introduce him to you. Seeing that Gu Nanchang wasn't saying a word, Sure Yao spoke up once more. Hurry up and greet him. Like a puppy, Gu Nanchang obediently replied with an "oh" before turning to Lin Jiej and greeting him. Nice to meet you, brother-in-law. This time it was Sure Yao's turn to panic. Seemingly embarrassed by Gu Nanchang calling her brother-in-law, her face reddened slightly as she protested. Gu Nanchang, what nonsense are you talking about? After saying those words, Sure Yao turned to Lin Jiej, wanting to tell him not to mind it. Chapter 328. Gu Nanchang. Thank you, brother-in-law. Calling him brother-in-law twice in a row left Lin Jiej overjoyed. He felt as if he was floating on air, such that he, who had never praised anyone in his entire life, didn't even realize that he was speaking so sweetly at this moment. Little bro, you're quite handsome. You have big eyes, thick eyebrows, good facial features, a tall stature and a good figure. Even your dressing style is very tasteful. Sure Yao's gaze toward Lin Jiej turned even more bizarre. Why is he so weird? He's completely different from how he usually is. She actually saw a hint of bootlicker in him. Is he the weird one? Or is she the weird one? Why do I keep getting these inexplicable and frightening feelings from him today? Meeting Sure Yao's gaze, Lin Jiej blinked his eyes. Could it be that Soft Bun is unhappy that I keep praising my younger brother? With this thought in mind, Lin Jiej added, Yao Yao, as expected of your younger brother. That bootlicker is getting heavier. Perhaps it's not my problem. Maybe his stomach pain has affected his head instead? Considering that Lin Jiej was a patient, Sure Yao didn't probe any further. I'm still cooking porridge in the kitchen, so I'll have to look after it. If you're feeling unwell, you can call Nanchang for help. Saying so, Sure Yao turned to Gu Nanchang and instructed, And you, stop playing with your phone and reading comics all day. You're going to have an examination next month, so you should finish the paper that Auntie told you to do today, alright? Got it? Gu Nanchang replied reluctantly, seemingly annoyed by Sure Yao's request. Nevertheless, he still sat down at the table and took out his paper. Sure Yao left the bedroom without saying a word. Lin Jiej didn't head to the bathroom either. Instead, he lay on Sure Yao's bed and looked around to pass the time. Soft Bun sure was a glutton. The bedsheets were covered in strawberries, even the hooks on the walls were in the shape of ice cream, and the pillow was actually a corn. The carpet beneath the study table was covered in candy patterns. Her younger brother's leg hair sure is a little lush, but this only goes to show that he's manly. Soft Bun's bedsheet sure smells good. It smells just like her, sweet and soft. With such thoughts in mind, Lin Jiej couldn't help but close his eyes and take a deep breath. After which, he buried his head into Sure Yao's pillow and chuckled inwardly. If only I could lie on Soft Bun's bed and never leave, how great would that be. Lin Jiej hadn't slept a wink the previous night, and as he pondered over the matter, drowsiness overcame him and he really fell asleep. When Lin Jiej opened his eyes once more, it was already noon. There was no one else in Sure Yao's bedroom other than him, and there was a small blanket wrapped around his body. Did Soft Bun put it on him? Lin Jiej suddenly felt a surge of warmth in his heart. He pulled off the blanket, got off the bed and walked out of the bedroom. Sure Yao and Gu Nanchang sat at the dining table. Sure Yao spoke softly to the examination papers on the table. For some reason, Lin Jiej found the sight before him to be very warm and beautiful. He stared at it for a moment before making his way over. Only when he got closer did he realize that Shi Yao was explaining the English paper to Gu Nanqiang. Gu Nanqiang was the first to notice that someone was approaching. He turned his head around to look at Lin Jie. Chapter 329. Upon seeing Lin Jie, Shi Yao's reprimanding Gu Nanqiang stopped abruptly, and even her tone became much gentler. "You're awake?" Lin Jie replied with an "I'm sorry. I wasn't paying attention and accidentally fell asleep." "It's fine." Shi Yao smiled lightly. "Is your stomach still hurting?" Lin Jie nodded silently. Shi Yao poked Gu Nanqiang's head with her pen, indicating for him to pay attention. Gu Nanqiang raised his hand indignantly and rubbed his head, but he still turned his gaze back to the paper. After she was done, Shi Yao turned her head around, and her gaze met with Lin Jie's. Shi Yao's fingers trembled slightly as she held onto her pen. She finally said what she wanted to say. "Why don't we go out for lunch? My parents went out with a tour group 2 days ago, so there's nothing to eat at home." Without any hesitation, Lin Jie replied with a sure. They had lunch near Shi Yao's house. Lin Jie couldn't possibly just sit around, so he tried to find a topic to talk about after sitting down. Considering that Gu Nanqiang had been working so hard on his papers over the weekend, it was likely that his results were pretty good. Thus, he found a topic that he could praise later on and asked, "Given how diligent my younger brother is, his results must be really good, right?" In this month's mock exam, he scored a 0 out of 750. Without giving Gu Nanqiang a chance to speak, Shi Yao continued, "It's precisely because I had to keep an eye on him that I went home." I didn't find the right topic?" Lin Jie pondered for 2 seconds before replying, "It's fine, it's just a mock exam. It doesn't mean anything." Shi Yao, "Oh, he scored a 0 in the previous mock exam too, the one before that, and the one before that too." My aunt was furious. She said that even if he doesn't know anything, he should at least try his luck and stop handing in blank papers. Do you know how he replied to her? He said that he couldn't, that he was afraid that he would change history by answering the questions. He even said that he was a transmigrator from the future, and that he was only following the course of history. It wasn't that he didn't find the right topic, but that he had nearly failed in his flattery. Not wanting to offend his cousin's brother-in-law, Lin Jie tried his best to salvage the situation. "It's just academic performance. It doesn't mean anything, and it can't define a person's life. I can't say for sure, but that shouldn't be an excuse to not study hard." Shi Yao replied disapprovingly. "Damn it, I was so focused on coaxing my brother-in-law that I forgot about soft bun." Lin Jie hurriedly nodded his head. "That's right. As a student, learning is still our main priority." As he said those words, Lin Jie discreetly observed Shi Yao's expression, and he noticed that most of the disapproval in her eyes had disappeared. After a moment of contemplation, he said, "It's just as well. Didn't you say that you're going to do the mathematics and science papers in the afternoon? I don't have much to do, so I can help him with his lessons." The disapproval in Shi Yao's eyes was quickly replaced by gratitude. "Thank you, Lin Jie." Lin Jie's anxious heart finally calmed down. It's only right. Thus, throughout the entire meal, Lin Jie no longer dared to casually look for a conversation topic. By the time Lin Jie was done with Gu Nanqiang's mathematics and science papers, it was already dusk. After staying in Shi Yao's house for an entire day, Lin Jie finally decided to leave in satisfaction. Chapter 330. Shi Yao sent Lin Jie down the stairs. Before getting into the car, Lin Jie glanced at the glowing green t-shirt he was wearing through the rearview mirror, and he couldn't help but frown. Last night, he thought that he had been cuckolded, so he decided to wear a green t-shirt. But today, he realized that the person who had cuckolded him was actually his brother-in-law. After a moment of contemplation, Lin Jie asked Shi Yao before getting into the car, "Is my t-shirt a little weird?" "It's not that. I've never seen you wear such an exaggerated color before, so I was a little surprised at first," Shi Yao replied honestly. In truth, with Lin Jie's looks and figure, He could probably wear any kind of color. Putting aside her initial surprise, this green t-shirt was actually quite nice. After a moment of silence, Yao added, besides, I do like the color green. For example, my favorite watermelon and honeydew in summer are also green. Hearing those words, Lin Jiej felt reassured. Me too. I think the color green isn't too bad either. The road back home was a little congested. Lin Jiej left Yao's house at 5, and by the time he reached his own home, it was already 7:30. A second after his car drove into the courtyard, the servants in the house immediately burst into an uproar. Young master is back. Hurry up and hide madam's emerald earrings. Also, move old master's plants to the greenhouse on the top floor. Put young Miss Flowers in her bedroom for now. Also, cover Mister's painting with a cloth. Don't forget to hide the apple well. Also, your clothes are green, remember to change them. After the car came to a stop, Lin Jiej flicked his keys and entered the house. While he was changing his shoes, he noticed that the famous painting hanging on the wall was actually covered by a cloth. Frowning, he turned to a servant and said, "What are you doing? Why would a painting be covered by a cloth? Don't you know how expensive that painting is? It's the work of a master, and hanging it in the house is just for show. If you cover it for me, what's the point of me buying it?" Back at Yao's house, Lin Jiej had eaten an apple that Yao had washed personally, while he was explaining the questions to Gu Nanqiang. As he walked upstairs, he said, "Oh, wash some apples for me and send them up. Also, the clothes I'm wearing, come and get them later. Help me wash them. I'll be taking them back to school tomorrow." After confirming that he had nothing else to say, Lin Jiej walked into his bedroom and closed the door, leaving the servants staring at one another in bewilderment. "Didn't you hate green and apples before you left?" She picked on all the greenery in the house and even threatened to never let him see apples again. Why did his taste change after leaving for less than 24 hours? The young master's heart was like a needle in the sea. That night, Lin Jiej looked for Yao to play with her as usual. The person who logged into her game tonight was not Gu Nanwal, but herself. Around 10:30, Yao announced that she was calling it a day. Perplexed, Lin Jiej sent a private message to Yao via WeChat. "Isn't it still early? There's no class tomorrow. Why aren't you playing?" Soon, Yao replied to his WeChat. "I'm heading to the hospital to visit a grandfather who treats me very well tomorrow morning." Is she going to visit my grandfather? So, as long as I wake up early tomorrow morning and head to the hospital, I'll be able to see Soft Bun just like today. Chapter 331. However, in order to ensure the authenticity of the information, Lin Jiej still asked Yao a question out of curiosity. "Is your grandfather hospitalized? Yao loves ice cream. He's not my real grandfather, but he treats me like one. As expected, it's time to visit my grandfather." Hiding the identity of less than 111,111 in front of Soft Bun sure is beneficial. Not only could he use two identities to treat her well and improve her impression of him by twofold, he could also act as a spy. For example, the information he had sent tonight would allow him to have an unexpected encounter with her at the hospital tomorrow. With this thought in mind, Lin Jiej continued typing. "Oh, are you going to wake up very early tomorrow? Yao loves ice cream. I'll be heading out at 7. If she were to take the subway to the hospital, she should be able to reach there around 8:30. Having more or less understood the situation, Lin Jiej didn't dawdle anymore. "All right then. Have an early rest. Good night." Not too long later, Lin Jiej received Yao's reply. It was a good night emoticon. Lin Jiej didn't respond to Yao's message. Instead, he put down his phone and gazed at the night sky outside the window. As the fragrance of flowers drifted in from the garden downstairs, he began fantasizing about how he would meet Yao tomorrow. As he thought about it, the corners of his lips curled up into a very subtle smile. However, that smile didn't last for too long before he sighed softly. "What should I do? It hasn't even been half an hour since I chatted with Soft Bun, and I'm already thinking of her again." Early the next morning, Lin Jiej woke up. Perhaps it was because he rarely woke up so early, but when he went downstairs, the maids were staring at him in astonishment. On the other hand, Lin Jiej calmly walked into the kitchen, and under the maids' astonished gazes, he said leisurely, "For breakfast, I want glutinous rice balls, mango pudding, steamed eggs with milk, tofu pancakes, puffs, and 8 treasures porridge, meat buns and wontons." Lin Jiej listed out everything he knew that Shi Yao had eaten in his house. After a moment of thought, he added, "And yogurt and cherry apples. Remember to pack them up for me. I'll be bringing them to the hospital. Make enough for 4 people." After confirming that there was nothing more to add, Lin Jiej prepared to leave the dining hall. But just as he was about to leave, he suddenly felt a little uneasy, so he halted his footsteps and asked the maid, "Did you take down everything I said earlier?" The servant nodded. However, Lin Jiej didn't believe it. "Forget it, I think that you might have missed it. Why don't you turn on the recording function and record it down?" The servant wanted to say that she had recorded everything down, but when she saw the slight frown on Lin Jiej's face, she decided that it was better to avoid unnecessary trouble. She turned on her phone and recorded everything that Lin Jiej had said. The maid thought that this was the end of the recording, but who could have thought that Lin Jiej would actually ask her to play the recording once more? After the recording was over, she finally escorted the living Bodhisattva out of the dining room. While the servants were preparing breakfast, Lin Jiej took the time to take a bath and do his hair. He even took out the skincare products that he had never used before and applied them to his face. After confirming that there was nothing wrong with his face and hairstyle, Lin Jiej walked into the changing room and began picking out his clothes. Chapter 332. Coincidentally, by the time Lin Jiej arrived at the living room, the servants had already packed up breakfast. Lin Jiej was usually a dazzling sight, but today, he had specially groomed himself, and his radiance was so dazzling that it could blind anyone's eyes. As such, the servants kept sneaking glances at him while they were delivering the breakfast to the car. As Lin Jiej approached the car, the lock opened automatically. While the 2 servants were placing the breakfast into the car trunk, they were secretly conversing with one another. "Young master, you look strangely handsome today." "Strangely handsome?" Standing in front of the car, Lin Jiej's sharp ears overheard the servant's words, and a slight frown appeared on his forehead. What kind of description was that? Indeed, it reminds me of a saying, "A woman dresses up for the man who pleases her." Lin Jiej's frown deepened. "A woman dresses up for the man who pleases her? Is this saying appropriate for me? It's not like I'm a woman." After the 2 servants were done placing the breakfast in the car, Lin Jiej opened the car door, got in and started the engine. As he was driving out of the hospital, Lin Jiej thought to himself, that saying should be, "A woman dresses up for Yapui. A man dresses up for Yao. A man can represent all men in the world. Isn't he making a cuckold out of himself?" It should be. Lin Jiej pondered for a moment, and a phrase surfaced in his mind, "I dress up for Yao." It was a weekend morning, so there were very few cars on the way. It only took Lin Jiej around 10 minutes to reach the hospital. He didn't rush upstairs. Instead, he parked the car at the entrance of the hospital building and waited in it. Around 15 minutes later, he finally saw Shi Yao holding a strawberry-covered parasol at the entrance of the hospital building. After Shi Yao entered the hospital building, Lin Jiej pushed open the car door and got out. He first looked at himself in the rearview mirror to ensure that his looks were up to standard before heading to the car trunk to grab the breakfast bags and headed for the hospital building. When he arrived at his grandfather's ward, Lin Jiej wasn't in a hurry to enter. Instead, he looked at himself in the mirror by the side before pushing the door open. He knew that Shi Yao was inside, but he feigned ignorance. As soon as the door opened, he called out nonchalantly, "Grandfather." Just as Lin Jiej had hoped, everyone in the ward immediately turned their heads to look at the door. Upon seeing who it was, Grandpa Lin, Shi Yao, and Auntie Sun were astonished. Lin Jiej didn't give anyone a chance to speak at all. As he walked into the ward, he spoke up once more, "Breakfast is here." As he said those words, he glanced at Auntie Sun calmly and said, "Auntie Sun, if you want me to deliver breakfast to you some other day, say it earlier." Nodding in realization, Shi Yao reined in the astonishment on her face and greeted Lin Jiege. Morning. Hearing those words, Grandpa Lin's expression also returned to normal. With a smile on his face he said, since Yao Yao is here so early, I'm sure that you haven't had breakfast yet. Let's eat together. Only Auntie Sun stared at Lin Jiege with a dumbfounded look on her face. Who could tell her when and where she had texted little young master to get him to deliver breakfast? Chapter 333. Auntie Sun thought that she was hallucinating. She quickly blinked her eyes, only to find that even more question marks were floating in front of her. Paying no heed to Auntie Sun's crumbling expression, Lin Jiege asked, Auntie Sun, what's wrong with you? Breakfast has already been delivered, so why aren't you helping grandfather prepare it? As he spoke, Lin Jiege began placing the dishes on the table. The sight of food immediately drew Shi Yao's attention. Grandpa Lin, who treated Shi Yao as his precious darling, only cared about calling out to her, Yao, have some glutinous rice balls, Yao, have some buns, Yao, have some 8 treasures porridge. Auntie Sun's presence was simply too inconspicuous, so no one noticed the peculiarity in her expression. As such, no one asked her whether the matter was true or not. She could only follow Lin Jiege's instructions and place the breakfast on the table. When all the dishes were served, old Master Lin frowned. Auntie Sun, why are they all sweet breakfasts? Don't you have my favorite tofu pudding and youtiao? Before Auntie Sun could say a word, Lin Jiege, who was stirring the dumplings in his thermos bottle, suddenly spoke up. Auntie Sun must be getting on in her years, and her memory isn't as good as before. She really didn't mention anything about tofu pudding or youtiao in her message last night. At this point, Lin Jiege didn't forget to turn to Auntie Sun and ask, did I remember wrongly? Auntie Sun? Auntie Sun felt aggrieved, but she didn't say it out loud. Old master, my memory is really getting worse and worse. Grandpa Lin didn't seem to mind it at all. He shot Auntie Sun an understanding look before continuing to chat with Shi Yao. Shi Yao shot Auntie Sun a comforting smile before lowering her head to munch on her buns. As she munched on them, she nodded her head fervently in response to Grandpa Lin's concerned words. It's fine, Auntie Sunday. You don't have to feel pressured. It's just a mistake, no one will mind it. Lin Jiege consoled Auntie Sun out of goodwill before taking away the thermos flask filled with wontons and replacing it with the one he had stirred at a similar temperature. Even though Auntie Sun had her own difficulties, the atmosphere in the ward during breakfast was still very harmonious and warm. Even though Grandpa Lin didn't like sweet food, Shi Yao's soft voice of Grandpa, you're eating too little. Have some more, and this bun is really delicious. Have another 1 inch were enough for Grandpa Lin to swallow quite a bit of food. Standing by the side, Lin Jiege didn't say much, but listening to Shi Yao's words of advice to her grandfather, even though it had nothing to do with him, he still felt like he had eaten quite a bit of food. However, this kind of atmosphere didn't last long before it was broken by someone. At the end of breakfast, someone knocked on the ward door. Auntie Sun put down her chopsticks and went to open the door. It was still early, so Grandpa Lin, Lin Jiege, and Shi Yao thought that it was a doctor who had come to check on them, so they didn't pay too much attention to it. It was only when Auntie Sun called out Madame Liang that the three of them turned their gazes toward the entrance of the ward. Grandpa Lin, Lin Jiege, and Shi Yao recognized the newcomers. It was Liang Juxi's mother, as well as Liang Mumu's aunt Liang Huiling. Meeting Grandpa Lin, Lin Jiege, and Shi Yao's gazes, Liang Huiling immediately greeted Grandpa Lin with a smile. Uncle Lin. As soon as she said those words, she walked into the ward wearing a silk qipao and a pair of high heels. Chapter 334. Everyone was familiar with the person following them, but to Shi Yao, it wasn't just a simple acquaintance. In fact, she was very familiar with the other party. This was because she hadn't seen Liang Mumu ever since that unpleasant incident in the hotel on Mother's Day. In the instant that Liang Mumu and Shi Yao's eyes met one another, the expressions on their faces froze for a moment. But in just an instant, Liang Mumu had already turned to Grandpa Lin and greeted him sweetly. Greetings, Grandpa Lin. Grandpa Lin had been hospitalized, so naturally, No one had told him about the unpleasant events that had taken place in the past. Thus, the ignorant Grandpa Lin replied amiably upon hearing Liang Mumu's words. It's been some time since I last saw Mumu. Speaking of Mumu, I'm the one who hasn't seen you for some time. I went overseas a while ago and I just returned yesterday. Mumu told me that you were hospitalized, so I rushed over to pay you a visit. As Liang Huiling spoke, she passed the tonics she had brought over to Auntie Sun and asked, Uncle Lin, how are you doing? Are you feeling better? I'm feeling a little better. Grandpa Lin shot Auntie Sun a glance, gesturing for her to clear the table. After which, he continued chatting politely with Liang Huiling. Liang Mumu stood obediently by Liang Huiling's side. While the two elders were conversing with one another, she acted as if nothing had happened at all. She greeted both Lin Jiej and Shi Yao with a tone that made it seem as if they were still close friends. Brother Jia. It has been a long time since we last met. Oh, I've missed you so much. Lin Jiej had never been too familiar with Liang Mumu's greetings before, so after what had happened back then, Lin Jiej chose to ignore Liang Mumu's greetings. On the other hand, Shi Yao couldn't be as willful as Lin Jiej. After all, the Lin clan and Liang clan had always been on good terms, and she was an outsider at the end of the day. There was no guarantee that the two clans would be unhappy over this matter. If she were to embarrass Liang Mumu right before Grandpa Lin and Liang Huiling, there was a good chance that Grandpa Lin would be displeased with her. So, after hearing Liang Mumu's words, Shi Yao's eyes immediately curved into a smile and she said, Mumu, I miss you too. Seated by the side, Lin Jiej's mind seemed to be as clear as a mirror. He knew that Softbun had no choice but to get close to Liang Mumu, but even if Softbun had no choice, he had plenty of ways to deal with her. Thus, after Liang Mumu heard Shi Yao's words and uttered the word "Ao," Lin Jiej spoke up. When I was explaining the questions to your cousin yesterday, I noticed that he wasn't very solid. I'll tell you about it so that you can take note of it and report it to him. After saying those words, Lin Jiej didn't give Liang Mumu a chance to speak. He instructed Shi Yao to use her phone to jot down his words, as he started talking about the important topics for mathematics and science. Having heard every single word of Lin Jiej's words, Liang Mumu's face grew a little agitated. Brother Jia is calling Shi Yao now? Explaining the questions to your cousin yesterday. When did Brother Jia get so close to Yao Yao to the point where he would even help her cousin with his homework? As Lin Jiej spoke, he discreetly shot a glance at Liang Mumu, and only after noticing the slightly embarrassed look on her face did he retract his gaze in satisfaction. You must be joking. Do you think that anyone can mistreat my people so easily? Chapter 335. You must be joking. Do you think that anyone can mistreat my woman so easily? Do you think that everyone is willing to put on an act with you? Even if Softbun is willing, I'm not. With this thought in mind, Lin Jiej intentionally leaned in a little closer to Shi Yao and continued calling her Thou. With a gentle voice he got to the point. Didn't Brother Jia hate to get too close to women? But the distance between him and Shi Yao was so close that his face was almost touching her hair. Also, didn't he always use that cold and indifferent tone when talking to others? But his current voice was so gentle that it didn't sound like the him she knew at all. Liang Mumu stared at Lin Jiej and Shi Yao, and her fingers curled up slightly as she tugged on her sleeves. Liang Huiling was chatting with Grandpa Lin, Shi Yao was chatting with Lin Jiej, and Auntie Sun was washing the thermos flasks for breakfast. For a moment, Liang Mumu felt a little redundant. She didn't want to interrupt the conversation between elders, so when Lin Jiej didn't say anything, she refused to give up and took the initiative to talk to Shi Yao and Lin Jiej. But Lin Jiej never gave Shi Yao a chance to speak. This made Liang Mumu even more awkward. Even though she was still standing elegantly beside Liang Huiling, her legs were trembling in anger. Roughly half an hour later, Grandpa Lin and Liang Huiling were finally done with their small talk. Only then did Lin Jiej stop talking to Shi Yao. Grandpa Lin asked, "Where's Auntie Sun? Did she go out? I wanted her to wash some fruits for us to eat." "Grandfather, I'll go wash them." Shi Yao stood up and picked some fruits. Just as she was about to head to the washroom, Liang Mumu suddenly spoke up once more. Her tone was just like before. carrying a hint of coquettishness. Yeah, I want to eat some cantaloupe. Can you cut one for me as well? Lin Jiej frowned. Unlike before, Grandpa Lin and Liang Huiling didn't say a word. But the moment Liang Mumu spoke, both of them heard her words. There was no way Shi Yao could ignore Liang Mumu in front of her elders. Thus, after hearing the latter's words, she could only smile and reply, "All right, I got it." After saying those words, Shi Yao returned to the fruit basket and picked up a honeydew melon. After Shi Yao entered the washroom, Lin Jiej sat on the chair for a moment. Glancing over, he saw that there was still a cantaloupe left in the fruit basket. A thought flashed through his mind and he said, "I'll go and help you." After which he stood up, walked over to the fruit basket, took the last remaining cantaloupe and walked into the washroom. After washing the fruits, Shi Yao brought them out, found a fruit knife and began cutting them. The plates in the ward were small, so Shi Yao had to split them into two. One plate was cantaloupes, the other was apples, oranges and grapes. Putting down the fruit knife, Shi Yao was just about to take the two plates of fruits over when Lin Jiej swiftly picked up the plate of cantaloupe before her. Walking up to Grandpa Lin and Liang Huiling, Shi Yao placed her plate of fruits on the table. Then she opened up a path for Lin Jiej. With a nonchalant expression, Lin Jiej passed the fruit platter to the table with a single hand. It was hard to tell whether it was due to his carelessness or something else, but the platter ended up falling to the ground, shattering into smithereens. Even the cantaloupe chunks scattered all over the floor, stained with dust, making it inedible. Chapter 336. Right after Lin Jiej said those words, Auntie Sun pushed the door open and entered the room. After which, he turned to her and said, "Auntie Sun, clean up the room and cut a honeydew melon." Auntie Sun, "Yes, young master." Auntie Sun had always been a swift worker, so it didn't take long for her to clean up the mess on the floor. Following Lin Jiej's instructions, she went to fetch some cantaloupes, but other than watermelons, apples and bananas, there were no other fruits in the fruit basket. Thus she said, "There's no more cantaloupes in the ward. If you want some, I'll go out and buy some." Lin Jiej, "It's not me who wants to eat it." Auntie Sun was taken aback. Grandpa Lin spoke up. "It's Mumu who wants to eat it. Auntie Sun, go and buy one for her." Liang Huiling hurriedly stopped him. "No, it's not necessary. It's not like we can't eat at home. Do we have to eat here?" Since her aunt had already said so, Liang Mumu quickly chimed in as well. Yes. Grandpa Lin, there's no need for that. I was just saying it out of curiosity, so let's just forget about it." Hearing Liang Huiling and Liang Mumu's words, Grandpa Lin didn't pursue the matter any further. "All right then. Have some other fruits." Liang Mumu replied with a sweet smile. "Thank you, Grandpa Lin." Lin Jiej shot a glance at Liang Mumu's slightly uncomfortable smile, but he didn't say a word. Instead, he pretended to be Shi Yao, lowered his head slightly, and leaned in close to Shi Yao. "What did you say?" With an apple in her mouth, Shi Yao shook her head, indicating that she didn't say anything at all. On the other hand, Lin Jiej continued, "You said that you want to drink a little?" When Old Master Lin heard this, he immediately replied, Yao wants to drink a little. "In that case, Auntie Sun, hurry up and go buy it." Shi Yao hurriedly swallowed the apple in her mouth and said, It's fine. I have to line up for Dian Dian, so I won't drink it. Auntie Sun is the one queuing up, not you. If you want to drink anything, just tell Auntie Sunday. She knows how to drive." As Grandpa Lin spoke, he turned to Lin Jiej and asked, "You drove here, right? Give the car keys to Auntie Sun." "Sure, Yao, there's really no need. I really don't want to drink it." However, Grandpa Lin, Lin Jiej, and Auntie Sun acted as if they hadn't heard her words at all. Those who handed over the keys handed over the keys, those who took the keys took over the keys, and those who took the keys took over the keys. As she didn't say anything about the flavors, Lin Jiej decided for her. After Auntie Sun left the ward, Lin Jiej shot another glance at Liang Mumu. This time, not only did the uneasy smile on the girl's face disappear, even the corners of her lips tightened. "You want soft bun to help you cut the cantaloupe? Then you have to be able to eat it." Also, if you politely say that you don't want to eat honeydew anymore, Grandpa won't buy it for you. But soft bun is different from you. As long as Grandpa thinks that she wants to eat it, regardless of whether she really wants to eat it or not, even if she doesn't know how to eat it, Grandpa will still buy it for her. So, facing such an ending, were they surprised? Are you surprised? Should I slap his face or not? To think that she could bully Soft Bun right under his nose, she must be daydreaming, indulging in fantasy. Oblivious to Lin Jiej's thoughts, Grandpa Lin asked, Yao, what's a little bit? Sure Yao, it's milk tea. Grandpa Lin, you like to drink it? Sure Yao nodded. It's just that they have to line up frequently. That's not a problem. Grandpa Lin replied nonchalantly. I'll get someone from my company to join little bit later on, and have them serve you exclusively. Chapter 337. Hearing Grandpa Lin's words, Lin Jiej silently gave his grandfather a thumbs up in his heart, and awarded him the title of Godly Assist of the Year. After which, he glanced at Liang Mumu's face once more. Compared to the displeased look on her face from before, the awful look on her face was much more obvious. It wasn't that everyone in the room was against her. Who asked her to cause trouble for Soft Bun time and time again? It's everyone's first time getting married, so why are you the only one who's causing so much trouble for me? Not too long after Auntie Sun left, Grandpa Lin's attending physician came over to check on him. After checking on Grandpa Lin's body, the attending physician habitually explained Grandpa Lin's current condition to Lin Jiej. There was a slight improvement, but the situation still didn't look too optimistic. After hearing those words, Lin Jiej asked, Is it fine if Grandpa is discharged for a short period of time? The attending physician glanced at Grandpa Lin, and after receiving the latter's affirmative gaze, he replied, A day or two is fine, but I don't recommend him to leave the hospital for too long. Lin Jiej nodded. It's Grandpa's birthday next month, so we'll have to hold a birthday banquet. If Grandpa still hasn't recovered by then, I'll have to trouble the physician to make 2 more trips to our residence. The attending physician, No problem, that's fine. Listening to the conversation between Lin Jiej and the attending physician, Liang Mumu's eyebrows shot up in astonishment. Grandpa Lin's birthday next month. Then with such thoughts in mind, she discreetly shot a glance at Shuyao before lowering her eyes to conceal the scheming glint that flashed across her eyes. After the attending physician left, Liang Mumu immediately spoke up. Brother Jia mentioned Grandpa Lin's birthday earlier, and I suddenly remembered that Yao Yao had already prepared a birthday present for you a month ago. Shuyao frowned. She did remember Grandpa Lin's birthday, but she had been worrying about what kind of present she should prepare for him recently. So, how could she possibly have prepared a birthday present for him a month ago? Grandpa Lin, I'm sure that you'll like that birthday present. Yao Yao bought an inkstone for you, and I was right beside her when she bought it. It's really special. At this point, Liang Mumu suddenly covered her mouth, as if she had accidentally spilled the beans. Then, she continued apologetically. I accidentally spilled the beans about what the present is. However, I won't tell you what it looks like so that you won't be surprised by it. Inkstone? It's really my favorite. But even if Yao Yao gives me something else, I will still like it. As he spoke, Grandpa Lin turned to Shuyao and said, Yao Yao, you actually started preparing my birthday present a month ago? I didn't dote on you for nothing. Inkstone. Even the better inkstones should be expensive. Liang Mumu knew that she didn't have the money, so was she trying to set a difficult problem for her? However, Grandpa Lin had already said such words to her, not to mention that Liang Mumu had beaten her to it. It seemed like she could only admit defeat. Shuyao contemplated for a moment before replying to Grandpa Lin, It's Grandpa's birthday. I'll definitely be very concerned about it. Knowing that this was the only reply Shuyao could give, Liang Mumu's lips curled up into a cold sneer upon hearing Shuyao's reply. Shuyao didn't have much money, so even if she were to buy an inkstone, it was impossible for her to get a good one. On the other hand, all Liang Mumu needed to do was to find out what the inkstone Shuyao bought looked like. and she would be able to match her real inkstone against her fake one during Grandpa Lin's birthday banquet. No one knew that when she parted with Shi Yao that day, she cried in agitation in the car. After she calmed her emotions down, the first thing she did was run home to complain to Grandpa Lin about it. She wanted to create a misunderstanding between them so that Lin Jiej would hate Shi Yao even more. She was determined to win, and she was brimming with confidence. Yet, after some time had passed, Lin Jiej actually brought her along to participate in Liang Juxi's game. She had tampered with the game that day to ensure that Lin Jiej wouldn't kiss Shi Yao. Yet, she had been slapped in the face time and time again. It was then that she realized that the one who hadn't changed was Shi Yao, and the one who had changed was Lin Jiej. She had spent so much time and effort to convince Shi Yao to cancel her engagement with Lin Jiej, but who could have thought that Lin Jiej would actually care about Shi Yao? Chapter 339. As Liang Mumu went through the past in her heart, she couldn't help but clench her fists tightly. No matter what, she had to succeed at Grandpa Lin's birthday banquet. After the attending physician left, Liang Huiling and Liang Mumu stayed in the ward for a little while longer before leaving. Thus, only Grandpa Lin, Lin Jiej, and Shi Yao were left in the ward. Without Liang Mumu's interference, Lin Jiej reverted back to his usual cold and silent self, leaning against the windowsill and fiddling with his phone. Grandpa Lin and Shi Yao were chatting quietly, and the atmosphere in the ward was relatively peaceful, making it comfortable to stay here. Lin Jiej wasn't paying attention to what the two of them were talking about, but as he tapped on his phone, he raised his head to look at the scene by the bed, and an indiscernible hint of gentleness slowly crept into his cold eyes. By the time Auntie Sun returned from buying some food, it was already 11 in the morning. Grandpa Lin, who had been feigning weakness for 4 to 5 hours, felt that if he were to continue like this, he would have to feign illness even if he wasn't sick. So, as soon as he saw Auntie Sun, he immediately urged Lin Jiej and Shi Yao to leave with glowing eyes. "Jiej, I'm a little tired. Auntie Sun is back, so I don't need you here anymore. You should go back to your own matters." As he spoke, Grandpa Lin feigned exhaustion and coughed twice before gesturing for Auntie Sun to help him lie down. In order to make his illness seem more real, Grandpa Lin closed his eyes and coughed a few times forcefully. Understanding Grandpa Lin's intentions, Auntie Sun covered him with a blanket before whispering to Lin Jiej and Shi Yao to leave. "The old master has fallen asleep, and there's no point in you staying here any longer. You should head back." Lin Jiej and Shi Yao didn't insist. One instructed Auntie Sun to take good care of her grandfather, and the other obediently bade farewell before Auntie Sun escorted them out of the ward. Auntie Sun wasn't in a hurry to return to the ward. Instead, she stood by the door until Lin Jiej and Shi Yao entered the elevator before returning to the ward. The moment she closed the door to the ward, old Master Lin, who was lying on the bed as if he was terminally ill, suddenly threw off his blanket, got off the bed, and began to practice Tai Chi. "It's fortunate that they don't come every day. If they came every day, I would have to pretend to be sick. Auntie Sun, there's still one of the ice cream I asked you to buy yesterday, right? Help me get it. Also, where's my chess set? Take it out. I'll bring it to the ward next door and ask Old Sun to play a few rounds." Following Grandpa Lin's instructions, Auntie Sun pulled aside the bedsheets and pulled out a mini fridge to grab some ice cream. Then she took out a chessboard. "Lin Jiej, Lin Jiej, Lin Jiej.